You just tricked me, bro.
How did I trick you? I tried to help you.
All right, Mr. Blake, I got 3 statements right here, okay? Mount Olympus has 7 buildings.
Let me try and count.
You can only find God chests at 3 POIs.
That's wrong, bro. It's only Underworld and Grim Gate.
Are you sure?
I'm sure, bro.
Restored Rails has 4 popcorn cards.
I didn't even know Fortnite had those.
Which one's true, bro?
I'm gonna say Mount Olympus has 7 buildings.
Yes, you are correct, Blake.
Let's go. There are 12 main POIs this season.
You know, that sounds about correct.
The 4 new POIs are on each corner of the map.
Oh my God. I already got my answer.
Maybe you want to hear the last one first.
Yes.
Classy Courts only has 2 buildings.
100% the 4 new POIs are in the 4 corners.
Think about where the Underworld, Grim Gate, Mount Olympus, and Brawler's Battleground are. Are they on the 4 corners of the map?
100%.
You are wrong.
God.
The true answer is Classy Courts only has 2 buildings.
You just tricked me, bro.
How did I trick you? I tried to help you.
Lavish Lair has more chests than any other POI.
I could see that as an option.
The closest POI to Lavish Lair is Rebel's Roost.
You got Lavish Lair on the top of the map, Rebel's Roost to the left of that. Then how far is Classy Courts from Lavish Lair? And then how far is Reckless Railways from Lavish Lair?
The furthest POI from Lavish Lair is Snooty Steps.
No, that's false.
Don't get nervous, Blake.
Rebel's Roost is the closest POI to Lavish Lair. I'm locked in. I don't want you to try and convince me.
I'm
sure. I'm not thinking. Reveal.
The closest POI to Lavish Lair is Rebel's Roost.
Let's go. Reckless Railways is at the center of the map.
Keep going. That's already locked in.
All right?
Yeah.
The giant statue at Mount Olympus is holding a spear.
Oh.
There are 5 statues at Restored Reels.
I'm gonna lock in with the first one.
Listen, you got the first one wrong.
No,
I'm
you're
up
not
2 on you.
tricking me.
I'm telling you, Jeff, the answer is Restored Reels.
Lock me
you're locked in.
now.
Jeff, you are incorrect. I just told you the correct answer. There are 5 statues at Restored Reels.
Oh my God, it is Restored Reels. There's 2 sunken plains by the Zenith Wall.
There's at least 1. I don't think there's 2 of them.
There are 4 wind turbines off the breezy coast.
Ooh, this is your drop spot.
There's 6 tennis courts at Classy Courts.
There's 4 courts at Classy Courts, not 6. There's only 1 plane at Grand Glacier. So the answer is the wind turbines.
You know, you're right.
You're trying to throw me off by telling me. I already know.
You're sure there's no 2 sunken plains by the Zenith Wall?
Wait, is there 2 planes? I'm locked in. 4 wind turbines.
You are correct, Blake.
3-0.
No.
There are more than 30 god chests across the whole map.
Cap.
Grim Gate is the only POI with water running through it.
Oh.
Fencing Fields and Mount Olympus have the same amount of chests.
Oh, the third one. Lock me in.
Can you take a second to think? I have no reason to lie to you, Jeff.
You think you're a slick one, right? I'm gonna go with the third one. Lock me in.
There are more than 30 god chests around the whole map is the correct answer.
Did I actually go 0 for 3, bro?
You went 0 for 3. Hey, good game, Jeff. It was fun.
Good game, man.
wanna see me with no limits. Rise to another level, dream to the finish with a team independent, yeah. We moving like a steamroller, really, we extreme with it, feel me kinda mean with it, better duck. Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? The rise will be televised. Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? The rise will be televised. Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? Are you ready for the rise? The rise will be televised.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to the FNCS. Today is day number 2 of the semi-finals. Not only do we get to see some duos go head-to-head and get victory royales and claim their spots to grand finals, now we're looking at duos rising up from the lower bracket, and we will see some pretty big shakeups, not only in duos coming in, PLYs, different hotspots, all that and so much more here on the FNCS. Let's bring in your analyst. It's Kelly, it's Vivid. They're back with us once again, my friends. Day number 2 of the semifinals. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good, Zeke. Listen, yesterday definitely performed in terms of entertainment, right? 5 teams already qualified to grand finals, no longer in the competition, and 5 more spots available today, Kelly. I personally cannot wait to see who is actually able to get a win today, because yesterday, those wins, they were all awesome.
Yeah, they were, and they were done by some big names, and I'm wondering if we're going to have some other top teams come out on top today, but it's a little bit of a mixed bag because we, of course, have the 30 duos coming from the lower bracket joining us today, so that means that the whole drop map has been mixed up. Meta's going to be changing probably. I am so excited, but I'm also a little concerned, Zeke, because the teams in the lower bracket right now definitely need to make it into their top 30, or else this is going to be the end of the road for them.
That's right. Today is possibly the most fierce portion of this set of the competition in the semifinals. There's a ton to break down, so let's just jump right into it. First, we want to kind of look at yesterday and some of the duos we saw perform well in case maybe you missed out. Well, let's get you up to speed. So we kind of wanted to start with Kanata and Cooper. These guys did not give themselves the victory royale, so they didn't quite go straight through to grand finals. They ended the day in 6th place, quote unquote, which technically is like 1st place, right? Because the top 5 went through. So basically, just think about this as the number 1 seed coming into today. Do we think today is the day, especially with this shakeup? Could they walk away with a victory royale and just go ahead and secure that spot?
You know, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, it would be awesome to see that get that win that they came so close to getting multiple times yesterday, right? A 3rd, a 4th, a 4th, a 2nd place, right? They made it to all those end games. They were very, very consistent when getting there, but you know, like Zeke mentioned, just couldn't necessarily pull out the win. But when you think about how the format's actually panning out, right? If they just play consistent again today and don't get a win, I'm sure they'll be hoping for a win. But if they don't get one and they play that consistent end game style, then they'll definitely be in upper bracket tomorrow, where of course, Kelly, will have 40 slots available to qualify for finals throughout the day tomorrow. So only 5 today. Got to make sure you get into the upper bracket tomorrow.
Yeah, you definitely have to feel, though, for Kanata and Cooper there in that final game that they did get 2nd place, going down to none other than Peterbot and Poyo. But like you were saying, with how consistent they were, even if they somehow don't get a victory royale today, there's just no way we don't see them going into the grand finals. I mean, Kanata's literally been to every single FNCS grand finals. He can't miss one.
That's right. Why would you cast a curse, Kelly? All right, we'll just move on there because casting curses aren't real. Kelly, talk to me about Clicks and Epic Whale. So these guys kind of ended yesterday in sort of that 15th place. But again, remember, because the top 5 go through, it's kind of like a 10th place, sort of. This is a duo that we had a ton of expectations, right? They had ended one of the open qualifiers in that 1st place spot. They were looking so good, but have not been in a good spot to take the victory royale. What could they change coming into today?
You know, a lot of it comes down to their drop spot over in Lavish Layer, and unfortunately, they were uncontested yesterday. And when I say unfortunately, you would think it'd be the opposite, but they just had such issues with Storm Surge, and going all the way into Zone 8, Zone 9, they would still struggle with that. And of course, being in the classic Clicks and Epic Will fashion, we did see them actually take high ground twice, but both of those times, Vivid, were just a little too early than what we would like to see out of them.
Yeah, couldn't hold on to it right. Teams were recognizing that they seemed low on mats and took full advantage of that. And yeah, Kelly, big switch up actually when it comes down to the early game for Clicks and Epic Will today. They're going to be contested over at Lavish Lair, so if they're able to win out those fights, it will definitely help in terms of finding that Storm Surge damage that you mentioned. But I can guarantee you one thing: if Clicks finds a sniper rifle throughout the game, they're going to be fine on Storm Surge. It seems like every single time he has one of those, that's when some of their best games happen.
And a lot of that does obviously come down to their loot pathing. Lavish Lair isn't known for the best loot, but they do a lot of the times prioritize those bunkers, which provides them so much. But again, they tend to stay in the storm. They go a little bit slow on their rotations, and that's why we keep seeing them have issues with mats and the Storm Surge tags.
That's right. So let's talk about duos that are now going to be appearing today, right? Dukes and Miro. A duo we'll see kind of just come up from that lower bracket, look to walk away either in the top bracket or looking for that victory royale. Of course, these names, Vivid, these are some of the biggest names in the NA scene.
Some heavy hitters for sure who maybe got a little bit tired of there being, you know, not too many headlines about them midway through the season. So they decided to go ahead and create a little drama, switch duos in between qualifier 1 and qualifier 2, right? So the fact that they only played one qualifier together means that they couldn't necessarily get enough series points to actually find themselves in the upper bracket yesterday, put themselves into the lower bracket because of the duo switch ups, but definitely got top 30 yesterday, so we will be seeing them compete today. And Kelly, I am excited because, as me and Zeke mentioned, big names. Wouldn't be surprised if they got a win.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, both of these individuals being FNCS champions, you expect a lot out of them. And they did walk away with a victory royale yesterday, but that was from the lower bracket where it's just 200 teams competing against each other. So it is going to be a bit of a different situation from them. But it's Dukes and Miro. Miro is literally the global champion from last year. You would expect them to make it into the grand finals.
That's what we're hoping for. That's fingers crossed. Okay, fingers crossed. One final duo to toss your way. It's actually Aaron and Chance. These guys ended in that first place spot in the lower bracket. So now joining here in the upper bracket, they're really looking to make some waves.
Yeah, and you know, we of course talked about 3 duos already, each of which consisted of some pretty popular names, and Aaron and Chance probably not as popular as some of the other ones, but maybe they should be. That lower bracket performance is what caught my eye. Like Zeke mentioned, of course, they did go ahead and win it, but it wasn't necessarily about, you know, them just straight up winning it. It was about how they did it extremely consistently, because they played 7 matches and had 5 top 5 finishes, including, Kelly, a win, which is of course important when we're thinking about today's format.
Yeah, not only the victory royale, but also a second place as well, and 2 third places. So an incredible performance right there. And it's a bit surprising that we don't get to hear more about Aaron and Chance. We actually did see them qualify together in Chapter 5 Major 1. They did only get 40th place there, but still proving that they are able to compete with the best.
Well, today is looking good for the duo in the number 1 seed. Today might be their only opportunity to walk away with the victory royale. Today might be their chance. I'm so sorry. Why don't I introduce you to your casters who will be calling all the action. You've seen them before. It's none other than Monster D-Face and the Best Taco.
Thank you, Zeke. And of course, speaking about duos that have a chance, I mean, I want to keep our eyes laser focused on teams like Baka and Pars, right, Taco? We have so many other teams that, of course, are having true potential this weekend.
Yeah, and with Baka and Pars landing at the Ship It station, maybe today will be a little bit more successful for them, considering that they are going to be contested in comparison to yesterday where they were uncon. So it is really interesting to see the shakeup and the dynamics across the drop map overall, but those teams in the lower bracket, they're looking to try and duke it out with the best.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Zeke, that's a quick temperature check from us here. Continue to take us through.
Thank you guys so much. We'll be hanging out with them not too long from now as we prepare for games. But now we kind of have to ask the question, right? This being that kind of big moment here in semifinals, what leads to success, right? What do we need to do to get ourselves the victory royale?
Yeah, and obviously it starts in the early game where some of the teams actually landed yesterday. So I figured we go ahead and show everybody where some of our winners were actually landing and what kind of rotates they actually had to make throughout the game. We're going to be showing you where game number 1 winners, Grizix and Yasir, landed and where they had to rotate as it concerns 6 zone. As you can see, they had to go to the northern side of the map, so did have to travel some sort of distance, but they just used the river sticks over there to give themselves some mobility.
Well, they didn't even need the River of Sticks because during that rotation, you can see that there's a certain POI in their way. Well, that's Grim Gate, and guess who's at a Grim Gate? That's Peterbot and Poyo, and they were able to take away the aspect of agility from that duo, and that definitely gave them the upper hand in the end game. But what about Booga and Agers?
Game number 2, no aspect of agility needed over here, coming out of Mount Olympus, but something unique about this duo, Kelly. We talked about it yesterday, carrying the wings of Icarus multiple times seems intentional. Did not have to go necessarily too far this rotate, just traveled along that southern shoreline, and they made it to zone pretty easily.
And I love the way that Booga was using the wings of Icarus. It was a bit different than what we see, and honestly, we never really even see them at all. So I'm expecting to see maybe even some duos pulling it out today.
Very familiar duo in game number 3. Won it. Major 1 winners, Acorn and Cold. And look at that, another win from Fencing Fields. Kind of crazy stuff. They did a similar rotate actually to those that landed here in game number 1 as well. Went all the way up to Grim Gate, gave themselves some mobility, but went all the way around on the northern dead side of 6 zone to give themselves a good spot to win this game.
And from this duo, for me, it was just how patient they were at the end game, because at one point they were actually at the extreme low, but of course winning from high ground. Another duo that won from high ground was Iamzo and Rise, an absolutely incredible duo that a lot of eyes have been on this duo right here.
Did not have to go too far, just over to Restored Rails, and that was the same storyline for game number 4 and game number 5 over at Grim Gate. Peterbot and Poyo woke up, and we saw them make the end game, took high ground, and did not have to go too far for their 6 zone rotate either.
Oh, but it was a bit concerning on game number 5 right there. I mean, we already know the whole fact that everyone thought Peterbot and Poyo were going to win game 1. They didn't have the best first 3 games. And then, of course, the final game of the tournament, getting the victory royale. But in game 5, Peterbot was knocked out of the air before even landing. So I thought that we were going to have to see them in the lower bracket today. But, of course, when it matters most, they're able to pull out that victory royale.
I love it. I love it. So, all right, that was stage 1, the landing spots, the POIs. Let's talk about high ground. We saw so many duos look to win these games from high ground, but it wasn't always claimed the same way. How were the kind of ways we saw it taken?
Yeah, and I think the important thing to note here is that all 5 of the games yesterday were actually won from high ground. And the cool thing to kind of note here, I did some research and wanted to know when the teams that won the game, when they actually went ahead and took high ground. And as you can see here, every single instance of that was either in the 10th or the 11th zone. And timeline wise, all of the high ground takes were actually within 1 minute of each other in each respective game. So that might be telling a little bit, Kelly, as to when we should expect our winners of each game today to take high ground.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a frustration watching these duos that you know are the best competitors in the world, and then they take that early height around zone 8, maybe even trying to tower up a little bit before then, and they just use all of their materials, and then they have to drop down, and then that's just going to be a chaotic scene right there. It's these duos that are patient, and then they watch for height, waiting for the exact right moment, and then that's when they were able to claim the victory royale.
You love to see it. Now, in case you viewers didn't have an opportunity to see the interview with Benno over in EU, he kind of called out something that really struck and stuck with me. He was kind of saying that not only is it more difficult to play the game right now because just the talent across the board is so much better, but Storm Surge as well is playing such a massive role for some of the duos. With this changeup of the duos rising up from lower bracket, how do we feel like Storm Surge may affect these next 5 games?
Yeah, I mean, right, it's going to be completely different than what it was yesterday. Our duo is going to opt to take, like, you know, an SMG and kind of go for some of those box-to-box fights, right? Remember, the meta within the meta that Zeke likes to call it. Some of these teams may be used to going over to bunkers that were maybe uncontested yesterday. Maybe there's a new team kind of in the area that will contest it today, and we'll see some fights over not necessarily just the bunkers, but also for some close-range Storm Surge damage.
Yeah, and unfortunately for a lot of these duos, with it being a mixed bag of the players from yesterday in the upper bracket, and then of course the lower, you can't really predict too much what's going to happen. But as Vivid and Zeke just said, there's going to be an evolution throughout the day, so I can't wait to see how these players adjust.
Man, you guys have me hyped. Today, the stress levels are through the roof. You guys watch. You know I get stressed all the time. We're just gonna try and hold it back. We're gonna be, everything's chill, everything's cool. We got 5 games ahead of us. Keep in mind, these are set lobbies, so that we'll see the same duos compete over the next 5 games. With that being said, you want games, we do as well. So let's jump on that battle bus. Let's kick it on over to MDF and the best taco.
And that's right. I can't help but think all the players that had a chance yesterday are going to have the advantage today as we're gearing back into these set lobbies here, Taco.
Yeah, and again, really can't harp on the fact enough, but some of these teams that are now going to be contested, that were initially uncontested, it might work in their favor, it might not, but regardless of the circumstance, everybody is just searching for that Victor Royale, and we're about to get day 2 started, and I'm just really looking forward to it all, MDF.
Yeah, who's going to go ahead and fight for the agility medallion? Who's going to take the underworld this time around? Yesterday, we had 4 teams contesting the Frenzy Fields. There's a lot going on across the Fortnite world, but we should surely be seeing something different here today as far as general strategy is concerned. And then some of those more veteran teams, right, that obviously have their drop spots unlocked. However, when you come into, of course, the second day, we'll see how it shapes up because game 1 is here. All right, well, Taco, here we have it. Game 1 of the upper bracket for the second day is here now. Of course, these are all, you know, more and more progressively difficult stages, essentially. If you don't perform to your best capabilities, you will slowly find yourself knocked off the totem pole.
But there is still that little moment of relief for our players here today if they don't secure a Victor Royale because of the fact that it is the upper bracket. If they can at least maintain their position in that 6th through 25th slot, that's going to be the real thing to keep an eye out for. And this actually, this split east of Classy Courts between Coastal Comms and Slumber Yard, you've got Aviv and Chubbs, Dukes and Miro, who could potentially be going head-to-head clashing for the duration of our 5 lobbies here today, MDF, and I am very curious to see how that actually shakes up for them because 2 incredibly strong teams that are both new for this actual season that were made last minute as well, so a lot going on that could lead to some pretty interesting stuff here today.
Yeah, definitely, including talking about interesting Lavish Layer, Clicks and Epic Whale being contested here by Poppy Blast and Dragon. This could be disastrous for a team like Clicks and Epic Whale, whom I would say not necessarily struggled to get through yesterday's top 25, but they didn't have that extreme standout performance, right? They came in and around 15th. Like that's not too far off of that bottom cutoff point. So we have to see some outstanding performances. And well, you know, sometimes being contested can work in your favor. This does seem like more of a problem than it will be a blessing. Here's Neko and Zavi, though, on the other side of Grim Gate. We talked about teams that might be here. Look at how different the temperature is at the Grim Gate right now, as we have the 4 or 5 teams looking to contest this drop right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect Grimgate to always be bumping, whether it's EUNA or any of the other regions for FNCS, but kind of continuing that conversation about Clicks and Epic, I'm on the other side of that monster. I'm actually excited to see them being contested because one thing that Clicks and Epic were kind of notorious for in the last major and why they had such an incredible performance is because they were conned at their drop. And this is what they love to do. Clicks immediately trying to connect with this hammer pump shotgun. Gets a piece out of Poppy and Dragon, but a little bit on the run right now, just kind of skirting around the mansion side. But again, this, to me, reads in favor for Epic and Clicks because they were struggling a lot all throughout yesterday in terms of managing their surge. Yes, it helped when Clicks had a sniper, but why hinge it all on finding that weapon RNG when you can settle the score this early on and just get your surge strategy online by eliminating the other team?
Yeah, I do agree, but the risk is always gonna be there. Poppy Blast and Dragon, of course, making their appearance here today. We didn't see them yesterday, so this is what feels like a repeat of the previous season where they're back for revenge. How good has Dragon and Bobby Blast gotten over the last couple of months, because they are, of course, facing some of the greatest on NA right now. And from Epic Whale and Clix's perspective, it does seem like they're a bit content to get a few of their tags, but they want to get their material and everything else online before they re-engage and finish this fight. And of course, having extra shields for the Battle of Attrition is equally important.
Just got to see how it all plays out over at Lavish Lair. Regardless of circumstance, you know that Clix and Epic are not the sort to back down from a fight if they feel as though it'll lead to them being in a really strong position for challenging on that weapon bunker. Pars, on the other hand, gotta keep things a little bit careful. Kind of split from Baka for a moment while Baka was trying to farm some materials, farm some barrels for some shield. At the same time, Chance and Aaron, a little bit of a skirmish here now. Good aerial position from Chance, but he gets clipped from behind. Hako just reminding Chance that you can't lose track of anyone inside of these bot fights. Floor getting chopped out consistently. Waterbending Mythic already proving to be a problem here, as another team off in the distance. Looks like Aoxy and his duo trying to apply a little bit more pressure, but it is going to be overall a win currently for Chance and Aaron, at least finding that singular elimination. Buy them a little bit more time, but they are completely surrounded, and Chance knows it. Just trying to use the Liberated Fizz, drop to the low ground, reposition essentially. Doesn't want to be the center of attention anymore.
Yeah, little does you know, Spirit and company have already moved on. Yep, that was that little side angle there Chance couldn't account for, and he is going to get punished for it, but it's not going to be the end of the world. More attention, more focus here for Nerface, and Nerface actually picks up the 2 eliminations here while on the move, backpedaling away from Aaron, who had the high ground, who was firing down on him, making it that much more difficult. Chance and Aaron continue the pressure, continue to push on, but it's not going to be successful. Here's the update for Clix and Epic Whale, moving their way out of the Lavish Lair now into a set of eliminations. Let's see what that end up looking like, as they're right in the thick of a battle. So Epic Whale's gonna go ahead and come on in to the savior of Clix's side there. Clix, who had 15 HP, and Epic Whale comes in, hits the shot. One of those eliminations, though, Taco, was stolen by the duo lurking nearby.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just about to point out. The fact that they had a little bit of third-party interference, more like third-party assistance for these two, and I doubt that Clix is going to be all too upset about that one, especially considering that Epic and Clix still got the full benefit as if they had eliminated that entire duo by themselves, because they're the ones that got to claim those immediate resources, those immediate mats off of the double elimination. It does lock down some solid surge for them as well. Paco, Mixin, nice connection so far on the Huntress DMR, taking full advantage of the thermal scope and the surge tower. And this is another one of our teams today, where yesterday they were stuck in a little bit of a pickle, just constantly being triple contested just about, because they had so many other teams spilling into the location south of the map over at Lovely Lodge. But here today, they find themselves uncon, so curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I think this is also kind of reminiscent of yesterday. Yesterday started the day off without many teams nearby them. By the end of their 5th game, they were definitely being contested round after round. So we'll see if things trend in that direction again. Re and Ritual also had, one of the greater performances yesterday. You can see they were one of the only teams that had 10+ eliminations each on the first day, so both very much on fire. The standings proved that they were doing very, very well all in all with that top 10 performance. So this is a standout duo that's here. And I mean, surely, like Vivid kind of hinted at the top of the show there, there's going to be teams that we expect to take a win. However, we're not going to be too concerned about them just playing the weekend all the way throughout as far as consistency is concerned. A lot of these duos like Cooper, Kanata, like Re and Ritual are easily top 15, top 10 caliber. And that's on a bad day, right? On a good day, that's where we should see a victory outcome out.
Hey, Kanata said it best yesterday. First off, consistency, it's just more practice for them today in day 2 of the upper bracket. Although, not gonna lie to you, Monster, they might be content machines, Kanata especially, but at the same time, it probably feels pretty good to just guarantee your spot in Grand Final. So wouldn't be too shocked to see those two just play super aggressive today. They came so close in every single lobby just about yesterday. I think -1 that they actually found themselves outside of the top 5. So they had the consistency on lock. They're not really a duo I'm like super concerned about. It's more a question of whether or not they can actually find that Victor Royale finish.
Got to secure height, got to time it, got to close out strong. Aaron and Chance from the lair to the snooty steps now. Oh, excuse that. They were actually the two fighting on the outskirts here. Have now found themselves at the snooty steps, though. Spirit and company have actually moved in. So Spirit and Shore were actually looking from the outside, from the outskirts, firing into other duels. But now they've actually decided to get their hands dirty. And you can see it's cost them so much material. Major setbacks here, but they have plenty of shields to work with. They're looking to disengage now. So the damage, they feel good about it. It's everything else that does, of course, matter.
Sure, maybe just wanting to pick a fight with a solo. That's what it looked like off in the distance. Sprite, on the other hand, still keeping tabs on Chance and Aaron. Playing a little bit of the high ground. Could be advantageous, but Chimp and Scissor, all they want is to break down this duo that's already worked their way into the weapon bunker. But Na'Vi and Easiness are not going to try to let this go for free by any means. I mean, they're already getting a good chunk of the benefits. And whether or not this fight lasts for too long, because there's another team trailing in the distance, closing in on this weapons bunker that spawns just outside of Dumpenhausen. And if Chimp and Scissor can't find quick closure, or vice versa there for Na'Vi and Easiness, this could be a potential third-party infestation.
Yeah, there's nowhere this team can run. The Hades chain can do everything and more that he needs done right here if they just fully commit and jump into these boxes. However, Easiness is trying to time the floor break with a sniper shot. That is equally dangerous. We do know, of course, the sniper can change the table and turn things around at any given time. Easiness just holding true right here. But yeah, I think it is just a matter of time. I think if Chimp pulls out that Hades chain, they can just get right in there. And honestly, I feel like they have the advantage here. The team on top of the weapons bunker usually is the one that, of course, can do everything to win the battle. They have the advantage.
I think if Chimp didn't just have a gray Nemesis AR, he'd feel a lot more confident with diving into these boxes. Green pump as well in comparison to the purple loadout we were essentially seeing. So weapon dominance maybe leaning a little bit more towards Easiness's favor, but I'm still pretty much on the same note as you, MDF. I mean, they've got all the time in the world to spare here, and at this point, Chimp and Scissor, they're clearly invested because this is essentially their strategy for Surge plan. And they basically have to see it through at this point because otherwise, Easiness, Na'Vi, they're just going to expend all the resources that are inside of this weapons bunker to begin with.
Yeah, and they gave him a chance to throw down that bush there, so that'll just give them a lot less visibility. Assuming the chance they had is probably going to slip away. Jumping in with Larson and Oliver OG, who have found themselves here in the upper bracket right now. Just outside the Reckless Railways. About 3 teams here looking to jump in. TK and Bacon being one of the few. TK and Bacon have notably shown up into end games time and time again. We don't really get to see them too often in the mid and earlies. And you can see why. They're playing passively, playing the outskirts here. Duke and Miro are caught in that spider's web, if you will, on that outskirt zone. Here at the Rift Island, a fight for the weapons, or the loot cache here. Ooh, big tag onto Zyro.
Looks as though Blink wants to get a little bit more aggressive here. Tried to go for the key, but ends up losing a good portion of his shield in return. Still trying to get aggressive onto B-Dog's sidewall, but B-Dog, Victor, create a little bit of space. Just box up. And they're just playing side by side at this point. They have expended all of their chug splashes now, though, so they definitely don't have as many heals as they would like to keep this engagement going. it's likely that they could end up just falling back entirely, but that would mean having to forfeit the capture point. But at the same time, Link, he's so content with all of this.
Yeah, but look, the Surge is letting him know that he will have to fight right now. And most notably, game 1 is always the most stacked, and we're seeing that number float pretty high above the Surge threshold count. So teams will have to fall, damage will have to get exchanged. B-Dog and Victor have the advantage here, as they're 600 damage above. Zyro and Link are just 8, so pressure is on them. Ooh, missed tags there. Those are very important shots that you have to hit in pressure situations like this. We're seeing the edits, we're seeing how flashy he is. He's quick, but you gotta be accurate. Gotta match the tags to back it up.
Can build all day long, but until you're actually able to confirm those headshots, it's not gonna really result in the kind of plays that these players are clearly looking to make. Victor and B-Dog, though, again, they do have just such a drastic Surge advantage here, and Zero already encountering some difficulties, finally manages to push just above that damage threshold, but again, 156 above, that is not really anything you can get comfortable with. But now, Paco, Mixon, caught up in their own brawls. Also another team struggling with Surge.
Yeah, this is a problem being 62 damage below. They need to hit these tags or take this fight right here. And the fact that they've kind of half committed to both sides is definitely trouble on the horizon here. Mixon quickly burning through the Midnight Oil right now. He's running out of heals. Running out of time. Still not seeing them make any progress here. It's going to likely come down to Paco right now, as none of the other teams are peaking, and Paco doesn't do enough. A tag was found, but not enough.
Paco is trying everything, but Mixon just utilized that last small shield potion. It's only a matter of time, sure enough. Paco, a victim as well to the Surge damage. Shore and Sprite, they'll at least get a little bit of materials off of their bodies, but Paco and Mixon just couldn't really get aggressive. They sort of just hesitated one moment too long, as you were pointing out, NDF, and it's unfortunate, but it is a pretty stark difference between having that initial Surge damage when you're getting contested early and taking those fights. And we saw Paco and Mixon having relatively decent success in those early game engagements as well yesterday.
Yeah, and this is the first time we see them not contested, and all of a sudden Surge is a big issue. Clix, who's coming off the back of elimination, is finding himself in another fight already, and looking at the map, it's not looking pretty at all. He gets knocked, but Playify gets dropped by Epic Whale with a clutch elimination here, and Epic's gonna greed for loot instead of going for the quick pickup, and I think that might have been a mistake here. But the edits are coming in, and Epic's smart. I like how he's playing this out defensively, but Clix gets found, the down body, and this is just so unfortunate. Seems a little too late in this game as well for them to actually get the reboot. We saw it yesterday at the 4th zone. A situation like this similarly unfolded, and Epic did not go for the pickup, so I surely don't see him trying to do anything risky here and now.
The most tragic part is the fact that Epic and Clix were quite literally 700 damage up on Surge. But at the same time, if you get caught in a box fight, you don't really have many options other than to see it through. So you can definitely respect the fact that Epic was at least able to clutch things up in that sense, but just caught on this edge of the last zone. Too many other teams surrounding them. Epic maybe recognizing the fact that they're going to get held regardless, so could be part of the reason why he opted to just play for the loot instead of potentially losing out on it. Sandler and Blanc directly next to them, and this is the other side of the wall, the other side of that box fight. Braids, a victim essentially, and he's not the only one. We're seeing the lobby start to thin out a little bit here as more and more teams are kind of just seeking the ones that are coming in from these later rotations that were probably delayed on their rotates since they were trying to secure some Surge. to be able to focus more on their positioning.
No dukes here for Miro right now, who's also 200 below the surge. Looking to turn and burn players on the rotate right now. This is very, very risky. Not an ideal situation at all for a lot of the vets right here in game 1. If there's anyone that can clutch up right now, it's definitely Miro, who's the type of player that has been known to take on 1v2s and find success. But right now it's about finding tags, right? Can he get the tags before the damage starts to ramp up here? He's got about 10 or so more seconds before the pressure becomes too much. And yup, look at that. He's only got 1 Flowberry Fizz here, so it's gonna go through all his heals.
Just gotta act quick, because this next surge strike, sure enough, that shield crack can be heard by anyone nearby. Miro just trying to connect with whatever shots he can find, but Ritual, they've been around the scene for entirely too long, Monster. Experienced players can recognize when a player is desperate for surge. And Miro, just in the nick of time, will find a quick break, but I don't really know if that was much of a saving grace. All in all, MDF, this is still a man with only 36 builds. A long way to go for the next zone. Plenty of teams that can hold him up in the process.
Oof.
And he's not going to get a chance. Ritual knew that that's as free as it could be.
I was going to say, at this rate, what are the odds? You know, 3 or so teams fall and he squeezes out placement points, but no. It was just a stretch and a dream. Blake and Mac would actually pick up Larson on the edge of the zone. That was the team that Miro was just holding out. We get to see that back one more time because we, of course, had those different angles. Take a look at Ritual in Reed's perspective. They see, oh yeah, clear as day, Miro running across, trying to make the mad dash there. And look, we talked about Epic Whale playing it out by himself, and this is what a solo like Epic Whale is capable of, right? He is still alive and healthy and well. Muzz and Paper from the drop spot being contested, finding their early eliminations. They have set themselves up well above the surge as well, just very much comfortably leaning into the mid game. So contested teams looking pretty all right.
Yeah, new teams, but same drop. Fencing is boding well so far as Muzz and Paper are concerned. They just got to keep this flow state going, though. They are still just above the damage threshold, 114, despite having 3 eliminations. So that's a pretty big indicator of just how active the lobby has been getting throughout the duration of this first match. Cooper and Kanata, again, gassed them up pretty highly from yesterday. They deserve it as well, considering how strong their performance ended on day 1 of the upper bracket. But again, this is a team that is not only just capable of finding a Victory Royale finish, but they are just incredibly consistent, and they've had some really chaotic moments.
Ooh.
Epic, that late rotate paying off in his favor. Poor Pars, man, just getting torn out of the sky.
And he jumps in there, so Epic's going to get the elimination. So he recognizes there's someone on the body of the player he just knocked. Not only that, I saw Muzz fall there. Look, we get to jump right on in. Paper playing as a solo right now. Something went obviously wrong on the rotate there. Caught out. Paper moving on foot here. Out of Stam finds a knock as well. Man, this hip fire on the SMG just melts through players like a hot knife through butter. Paper now digging into the splashes here. I like what I'm seeing, but unfortunately there are players nearby, and no, it only gets him so far. Top 20 is gonna go ahead and cut Paper out of the equation now. The map is telling, though, Baka is the only player way on the outskirts here. He's gonna have pretty good time as a solo right now. Sphinx and Threats here, finding their 3rd eliminations. They're starting to work their way up here, Taco.
For sure, but Baka right now probably wishing that he just had Pars with him, given that their drop ship-it station has a chance of one of those forecast towers spawning nearby right next to them. It's partly part of the reason why his positioning is so ideal, just not the actual situation of being stuck as a solo. But he might be able to play spoiler. Yeah, he's going for it. He's playing as if he's still got somebody else with him. I can definitely understand the mentality, though. Height does win games. That's been a recurring theme all weekend so far. But Kanata and Cooper, They look as if they're trying to set up for an opportunity here, try and make their way up to height from this secondary height layer. Will catch a bit of a snag though. Cooper lost his shield. Just so many players trying to tag people up as they rotate in. Like this though from Epic. Still trying to play the low ground, still playing a little bit closer to that back of zone, but worked his way to front side of the low ground. Eviscerated Pops. Good night.
And that was crazy. I was just about to compliment Epic on how well he has been performing as a solo. And then he just one-ups the entire situation. A top 10 and a set of eliminations after losing Click so early into the mid to late game there. That was incredible for Epic right there. But Aviv and Chubbs take high ground from Baka, but not before Chris from Team Prodigy tries to get in as well. And this is an all-out flex for height right here. All material thrown down. They are not leaving anything for spares. Chubbs and Aviv are wearing the pressure of that build fight on their sleeves heavily right now, and they have to come down into the other players, and Aviv will find Chris. Here's Kanata and Cooper, though, at 4 eliminations here. Vibing in the low ground. Potentially, honestly, could win this game just based off of the fact that they probably have more material than everyone else who's been fighting for height, believe it or not.
Oof, tough break here for Chubbs. Aviv gets knocked in the process. They had to drop in the high ground, though. They did not have the mats to maintain it. Bryce and Bolts, though, they won't even hesitate. They've seized their opportunity. They've got a little bit of eagle-eye view. Bryce even double-checking to make sure nobody else is still hanging out on height, but just before he realizes it, Cooper, Kanata, thorn in their side. Kanata will get revenge for Cooper by taking out Bolts, and now he's the last man standing on the high ground. No mats, no way down either. Doesn't have Flowberry Fizz. He has to play this from height.
This is crazy, and the zone actually just bounces nearby him, so he had one underworld dash left and uses it to get off a high ground. And all of a sudden, it's Kanata's game right here to lose or win. He finds the tag onto both players, a 2v1 situation, but no! Just an inch away from the headshot to get the trade that he was looking for. And in the end, it looked like Chance and Aaron are gonna take game number 1.
You know what I'm upset about right now? It's because Zeke makes that pun, man. Maybe they've got a chance. Well, Zeke, they do. They made it. They're in. Grand Finals is the Chance and Aaron show here for game number 1.
What an incredible performance here for Chance and Aaron. They had the lower bracket run of a lifetime, if you will, and then they come into the uppers and take the first game with a win. Look at that shot from Chance and Aaron. Congratulations for the game 1 win. You are going straight to the finals, and to do it in such a strong fashion. But also, I want to give a huge hats off to Bolts. Those guys have been turning up multiple second places yesterday and a near win again, essentially, here, Taco.
They're not the only ones either, but the desk has got a little bit more information on that, MDF, so we'll let them take over.
Well. We call that the reverse caster curse. When Zeke makes a joke, a pun, suddenly that duo goes on to win. Now that's why I don't make puns too often, because I'm way too powerful. In all seriousness, though, congratulations, Aaron and Chance. Remember, these guys came out in that number 1 spot from the lower bracket. They had so much to prove. They had so much that they had to show us, and they came in and they just said, you know what, game 1, day 2, we're going to Grands. That's it, we're done. We'll see you next weekend, baby.
I mean, yeah, Aaron and Chance, they're coming out swinging game number 1. I mean, winning it. Listen, we said I wouldn't be surprised if they got a win with how consistently they were playing in that lower bracket, and they proved to us early on that it is possible indeed. But also another thing to make note of, low ground 1.
Ooh, that's right. Yesterday, it was all 5 games won by high ground, but showcasing that there's still plenty of opportunity if you have the right game plan, regardless of where you are. But honestly, just looking to the history of Aaron and Chance here, they actually qualified to the last Grand Finals in Major 1 through day 3 of the semis lower bracket. So good to see them being able to move it up to day 2.
That's right. Incremental little, you know, modifications, changes. Suddenly we're in grand finals. Bing, bang, bosh. That's right. Today was their chance and they took it. That's okay. All right. Anyway, wow. This game was kind of weird, right? Like you kind of called out, this was one from low ground. This is very uncharacteristic, and you can already tell and feel the chaotic nature of just that first game, right? To kind of take it to that point where Kanata is running around with Cooper on the high ground, then suddenly they're just, you know, Aviv is up there, and then they're like, just kidding, we don't have the resources, we're all coming back down. What a unique game.
Yeah, and unique indeed, but you know, you threw a word out there, Zeke, uncharacteristic. Well, it's pretty characteristic actually of Kanata and Cooper to find themselves again in the end game, picking up a second place, and Kanata being so close to actually pulling out that solo clutch. If that gatekeeper shotgun just hit a little bit harder on one of those final shots, I saw the 1v2 happening. I saw it.
Yeah, you really have to feel for them. This is their second out of the semifinals, and that's not even including all the other top 5 finishes that they've had. And we said at the start of the show that even if they don't get that victory royale, which is so close, such in their reach, they're definitely going to be making it through consistency. Getting second place with 5 eliminations is definitely going to give them a pretty good leg up on the competition for day 2.
And I think what's interesting, right, is obviously because of the format, we're trying to get a victory royale because we want to qualify to Grands, right?
Yeah.
But if this was Grands and we were seeing Kanata and Cooper perform like this, there's a good chance these guys would be in first place, right? They've been so unbelievably consistent. And even after yesterday, right, ending in that #1 spot, like these guys could do it. You know, maybe they're just like, hey, look, even if we don't get the victory royale, it's cool. Let's just stay in upper bracket. We stay in the upper bracket tomorrow. We're going to Grands anyway. It's fine. We can get this practice in. Of course, victory royale would make it easier. But my point is consistency with this duo is absolutely key. And very much prominent. I want to take a look at the standings. I want to see how things are kind of shaking out after game #1. So remember, if we get a victory out, we're going straight to Grands. We're good to go. Or we want to stay in the top 25. After that game, Shore and Spritzy up there in that #1 spot. 96 points. Okay.
Yeah.
12 eliminations, Vivid. 12.
Flying under the radar there. You know, I did not realize that we were dropping eliminations like that. Shout out to Shore and Spritzy right there. A 20-point lead over Kanata and Cooper. Kind of crazy to see that. And MDF mentioned it. Bryce and Bolt coming back into day #2 here, still putting up good performances.
Wow, I mean, if you looked at yesterday's game, there was only a single team that was able to kick off double-digit eliminations, and that was Acorn and Cold, our reigning Major 1 champs. So to see another duo be able to do that in game #1, I'm excited to see their aggression later on in the day as well. But of course, some big names there in our top 10. I know a lot of people are looking to Clix and Epic Whale, and typically in the end game, we see Clix the one that's solo clutching, but it was Whale that was able to survive and box up and just run around everyone in the final moments there, just getting those points to be able to hold him and Clix up in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw those standings, there's just so many names on there. I mean, in 13th place, we saw Reet and Ritual, right? We saw them perform yesterday, looking to come back today and hopefully lock up a victory royale or stay in that top 25. And nobody freak out. Again, that was just game #1. It's cool. We got 4 more to go, Vivid. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, favorites to actually win the last major on some people's lists, it's going to be Reet and Ritual, and definitely haven't, you know, I don't think they've been performing necessarily as good as they were in Major 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them qualify for grand finals, and when it actually got to those 12 games next weekend, if we saw them play just a little bit better, because I'm sure they love when the pressure is on and the money's actually on the line.
I definitely saw a little bit of old Reet and Ritual in there. Reet hit an incredible snipe around zone 6, zone 7 there, and at the very end, towards the first rotating zone, they were positioned in the perfect spot of the dead side of the zone. So I can definitely see Reet and Ritual, the one that we know to absolutely dominate, is still there. They just need to pull out a little bit more.
Just first game jitters, right? We've shaken those off. We're good. The competition starts right now. And now we have 4 games to go. Victory royale, top 25. How's it go? Let's find out together. Casters, take it away.
Yeah, well, you know, game one was actually pretty fantastic, an explosive start for us, but I'm interested to see how Clix and Epic Whale are going to do off the drop. Can they finish the fight pretty quickly, Taco? Because it does seem something was holding them back in the mid game.
Yeah, the mid-game just got a little bit too scuffy after the fact. I mean, they come out of the weapons bunker and just get caught in a huge plethora of teams. So it's really just about maybe getting that rotate a little bit quicker. But again, always easier said than done, especially when you're playing for the weapons bunker, because you give teams so much more opportunity than yourself to actually get an ideal position. We saw just how heavily they were getting held on the edge of zone. So I think that Epic and Clix, they probably got something cooking, though. I wouldn't be too surprised to see those guys make the comeback.
Yeah, and then Bryce, man, that performance, like we said, alongside Bolts, of course, popping off here, continuing the trend. I think it's only a matter of time before we see them take a Victory Royale, too. There's a couple of teams that have surely been surprising so far, but a little bit of an under-the-weather performance for Duke, though, who also was taken out a little bit early. So with game 2 here of 5, let's see what we have next. All right, the upper bracket game 2 is kicking off now, and we're coming off the heels of a very, very fun game 1, and I'm expecting nothing less now, as with every team that wins, one less team, of course, gets the queue in now, so the world opens up a little bit as well. The different dynamic round to round will start to take its course. Here's Clix and Epic Whale, the fight that we definitely want to hone in on here for this Major 2, and Epic Whale landed on in bodied and fully finished here by Dragon. What a quick pickup.
Just the floor loot advantage there from Dragon. A little bit quicker than what Epic could be. A very well-studied drop for sure for Poppy and Dragon, as now they're going to be on the hunt for sure. Try and pinpoint where exactly Clix has snuck off to, but this could be an opportunity. Clix could always look to make the comeback, try to grab Epic's reboot card and just bail out from this position. Taking the 2v1 this early on, even if you're successful, he still has to spend time anyway going towards reboot van, so it might just be better suited for Clix at this point to just full retreat, forfeit the drop, try to make use of maybe some of the outskirts, but Clix has managed to get full shield. He's got the sneak up potentially onto Poppy. Sees him building overhead. Poppy gonna catch wind. Clix with the first shot to connect. Poppy immediately trying to ditch the top of this mansion, but now it's gonna be Clix. He realizes he's got this duo separated enough. The 1 versus 2 could be a real opportunity here, but Dragon with the bite back. And one more time, Clix finds himself on the verge of his lobby 2 ending.
I was gonna say that's a dead end, and Clix recognized that really quickly. You saw how quick he turned around there and ran up, and this is so unfortunate for him to start running out of actual material here, but it seems like he's managed to reposition himself just in a good enough spot to get towards Epic Whale's card here, and I appreciate the fact he was willing to stick around for it. And had Clix just boxed that player up a little bit sooner, he might have actually 1v2'd. Really great play from Clix, and this is the sniper in hand. You can see how much confidence he has with just that one item. And his loadout's starting to upgrade all the way here. He's got a better shotgun now as well, so confidence surging here for Clix.
The only thing he really needs is a little bit more mats. Poppy, same mentality. Trying to get some mats built up as well. Clix with a quick escape though, out the window. Just so many different ways to actually run around this mansion, but Poppy must have been on the lookout. So he definitely lets Clix know, yeah, we're definitely still coming, buddy, but
both sides
Poppy,
run out of mats.
I like this though from Poppy and Dragon, the way that they've split. They're looking to cut off both of his escape routes, whether he goes high or low. Clix has no other option but to fight here.
Yeah, and Clix has run out of mats. The other side's run out of mats, and that's another great tag with the shotgun. And Clix is just ready for every angle so fast on the draw here. And then a miraculous find with the chug splashes there. You know they're hearing that as well. And that's going to be, again, another setback for the duo that's hunting him down. Clix is just not going out without a fight here. Both sides get to reset now and get their HP back up. And this is an intense battle right now. for Clicks to try to clutch up here and save Epic Will. I don't know if he even got the reboot card at this time. I'll be honest, because Clicks, in theory, if he's did manage to pick it up, I mean, he could get out of here, right?
He could, but sometimes it's about sending a message at DF. And the other note of consideration is, sure, Lavish Lair, it might not have Oscar, it might not have that mythic Frenzy Auto anymore and the benefits that it did last major, but at the same time, a lot of the resources that are available at this POI have already been so split and looted out in general just because of the fight and the duration of that fight. I mean, both sides just trying to use everything they could get their hands on. Clicks does appear to now be trying to make a move for that reboot van, but it is unfortunate for Dragon and Poppy Blast especially that they weren't able to just outright claim Lavish Lair, because with Clicks escaping, if he makes it to that reboot van, I wouldn't be surprised if they pay a comeback visit.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, that place is gutted. They took all the heals they were used in that drawn-out fight. So we hop in with Aiden Hound right now, just eyeballing the team here. Dukes and Miro looking to do the same. Over at the Grim Gate, we have Monkey and Evil Pops right now. Okay, bit of a fight seems to have drawn out here. You can see Flappy's HP low. He's gonna heal up. He's got no more heals left. He has no teammate either, so this is a back and forth engagement here. Grim Gate seems to be the messy drop of the day at the moment, as even now Pops and Monkey don't quite have a free pass just yet. Reciprocal and G Monster eyeing up the situation right now, deciding if they want to jump in. On the other side of the map, you have Kanata lurking around here with Cooper, of course. And they have control of the bunker too, so look at that.
Yeah, definitely expecting Kanata and Cooper to essentially base up around this bunker. Pretty high odds that one of the teams, whoever the surviving team is from Grim Gate, it's like a cycle at this point. Almost feels like a factory assembly line. It's just one team gets elim, one team comes in. It's never ending, just about, for that off-spawn battle over that aspect of agility and the mythic Gatekeeper shotgun. But Kanata and Cooper, they're definitely looking to be prepared potentially for that bunker. If not, maybe to just outright third party at Grim Gate. Might as well join in on the fun. And Visuals in a whole world of hurt here currently outside of Rebel's Roost, dealing with Vorteca and Crisp, and both of these teams definitely got their battle scars on currently, and that could be a prime opportunity for Sandler and Block to take full advantage of. You can see them already kind of poising up on one of the hills just outside of where this engagement is initially taking place for Vorteca and Crisp. Chug Splashes, though, that's going to be the last of them expended by Vorteca. The waterbending Mythic, though, definitely doing a decent job at keeping Sandler and Block at bay.
Couple blind fires there. Vorteca trying to connect with whatever he can.
Any signs of movement?
Just anything, you know. Crisp and Vorteca are not in the greatest position right now. These fights are scrappy, digging into their little bit of heals that they did have, and we'll see if they can manage to find some resources on the way back. Hero and Dukes on the other side. We've seen them start to lurk right in on different teams, different battles, but again, nothing has kicked off quite just yet for them.
The other note for that is Miro and Dukes also. Pretty tough spot. We saw Miro in the last lobby running it down as a solo before Ritual put him out of his misery, essentially. And on the other side of it, though, Aviv and Chubbs, the duo that's contesting, or potentially contesting, Dukes and Miro, by the looks of things, are not really fighting each other directly at their split, but we saw Aviv and Chubbs all the way in the end game. They had a pretty deep run, and so some adjustments definitely need to be made on Miro and Duke's side of things. Maybe if they're not fighting that immediately with Aviv and Chubbs, they look to get a little bit more aggressive at the starting point, but if anybody's going to have a battle plan, it'll definitely be those two, as Clix very happy to reintroduce Epic to lobby number 2 here. But they are going to be the ultimate scavengers at this point.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. This late in the game, that low on health, to bounce back. They're facing Verse right now. Okay. Little scenic route, taking the train to the center of the map. It's pretty interesting because like a lot of teams don't really focus in on the train. This is could come as a surprise, I'd say, for most duos.
People probably thinking, why are you guys on the train in the first place? More like it, Bryce bolts. Maybe they catch wind of the fact that Nerface and Verse are hanging out on the train, but Surge Tower doesn't appear to be prioritizing keeping tabs on the movement of this train. Stopping here at Reckless Railways, though, it does look as though Verse and Nerface want to get off, so could be them just looking for a quick rotate, try and set up a surge base of their own, or just lock down any teams looking to rotate more center map.
And don't forget, this is the second day of the upper bracket here. For those teams that played in day 1, 5 teams have moved on to the finals already. If you picked up a victory royale in one of the 5 games, teams like Booga, duos like Peterbot and Folio have all moved on already. Some of those notable teams performing above and beyond their capabilities have already moved on.
And even today, we saw Chance and Aaron secure the Victory Royale for the first lobby.
That's right.
A team that came from a lower bracket run. And they're the first ones out here today, and that's going to be a huge benefit as well for Shore and Sprite potentially, because keep in mind, over at Snooty Steps, they were originally conned by Chance and Aaron, but there is a chance that another team could possibly look to rotate in that gap where Chance and Aaron have departed over at Snooty. But right now, it is all about Pars and Baka and whether or not they can actually successfully cut off some of these other teams that are rotating a little bit later towards the edge of zone, just outside of Pleasant Piazza. Pars definitely giving a lot of grief to these teams that are trying to glide in currently. The water-bending Mythic, easily one of the best items for trying to abuse players in the sky.
You see, Tag just came in from the left side, and now the focus is on him. Straight through the trees there. Don't find the connection. Bak and Pars, though, missing a lot of white health there. Wonder what happened. If it was from the surge or just from moving through the zone there. Speaking about surge, 85 players standing right now. Things have really come to a halt here in game 2, which is honestly a surprise. The standard NA pacing, the standard, you know, game 2, game 3 pacing is on average a bit faster, if you will. But this game is really, I'd say, reflecting the fact that players want to stay alive right now. Really, really aim for consistency, if not the win, of course. That's exciting. It's going to only set us up for better gameplay here. Ritual on the move, though. They have the Rift Island. Team's already pulling up. Nerface down low. Once again, it might just be a fight here for the capture point.
It's a fight that'd be all too welcoming for Reet and Ritual. Another one of our more veteran teams that we saw have a handful of struggles keeping their search strategy at a high enough threshold throughout the course of yesterday's 5 games. But no better place to brawl than the Rift Island, especially when Reed's able to connect with shots like that. Nerface now forced to take the brunt of the aggression here. Try and play a little bit of a distraction factor for his teammate so he doesn't get insta-keyed. But Verse has an opportunity now to heal up, so one more time striking slightly different angles here from his duo Nerface, and Nerface seems like he wants to go for a flank opportunity, but Reet and Ritual are just so attentive towards their walls and where they're actually building. Nerface already losing. No opportunity to actually break in to Reet and Ritual's box setup that they have surrounding this capture point.
Well, Nerface needs to take this fight right now. They've decided that they want the 2v2 as opposed to looking for tags right now to find their surge. And unfortunately, it's up against the likes of Reet and Ritual, who have had, I'd say, a pretty stellar run over the last 2 days. Remaining consistent, remaining at the top of the standings, finding a lot of eliminations along the way. Reet and Ritual have no pressure here, as they've done everything right this game. It is just a matter of waiting this team out. I think they're recognizing that, yeah, this is unprecedented amount of aggression right now. We've already captured the point, right? Like, and they're still pushing us. They probably know these teams absolutely need surge.
Almost waiting at this point for Ritual and Reet to just ditch entirely, especially with that third-party introduction.
Metal too, yep.
Ritual, they could always refarm on Rift Island. There is ample amounts of brick on the Rift Island, but at the same time, you don't want to get caught out for too long, especially when you already have an ideal amount of surge. And sure enough, Ritual just falling back for the time being. Flood and Cow now looking to take over what Reet and Ritual had started versus Nerface. They're not willing to give this up, and sure enough, yeah, that 19 above. That's the primary reason they were trying to pick a fight in the first place. But Flood and Cow aren't gonna make this easy necessarily. They might also have slight added advantage, but Cow outright just takes it away from Versa and Nerface. But that's the reintroduction that Reet and Ritual needed. This is just cleanup crew.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the veteranship from Reet and Ritual. They backed out, allowed those two teams that were clearly very much desperate for surge to fight, and then swung right back around at the very end once the elimination fee started to rack up there. Just well-timed. It's going to get them elimination. Essentially cap out their inventory here. Reet just needs brick, but he's in the perfect place to get it, so...
This is a really strong loadout. Like, I know it's still early enough, but 5th zone, 4 bananas, 6 splashes, 100 fizz. Reet and Ritual, they're definitely priming up to try and take this one home by the looks of things. And they might just succeed. We'll have to check back in with them a little later on, see how their situation develops. Meanwhile, Clix and Epic definitely coming back from the grave with this one. One elimination on Epic currently. And we'll actually get a chance to 4K spectate what exactly went down to lead to that elimination in the first place.
Epic Whale with the Hades chain right through the builds, and that's revenge. On to Puppy Blast. The story, ironically, comes full circle there. And Epic Whale and Clix are definitely happy about that one. That's a massive, massive pickup. And not only that, Epic needed, you know, the loadout and the extra mats, because they were coming from the deep side of Storm there. Mixon and Paco have struggled since being uncontested there in game 1 and now game 2. Also just about the surge here. This time not as bad, Taco, as the previous, but still nothing perfect, I'd say.
Yeah, they're definitely not celebrating by any means. Well, maybe a little bit now.
Oh,
Sprite,
yeah, that's nice.
Just clean knock, Mixon, gonna waste no time, capitalizing, jumps straight into the box. Yeah, there was no chance. Sprite, sure. Unfortunately, they're gonna have to wait till the 3rd lobby to try and look for a little bit of vengeance, but Mixon and Paco definitely needed that engagement. They're also hanging out next to the Rift. Will opt to take it, get their rotate in. They gotta be careful though. These teams already situated on hills, bound to start taking note of who's flying in from rifts in the sky. And
I like what they did though. They popped the legendary bananas and then took the rifts. So just fully prepared for anything as far as, you know, aerial defense is concerned.
That is true. They need to pull out all the strats though. Especially when you consider they didn't qual for EU Grands last season. They want to find themselves in a major, even if it's on vacation. In the States, Paco and Mixon are certainly a team that wants to represent and showcase that they can qual for a grand finals. Whether or not they do it here today, that'll be up for them to decide.
Its legacy, its reputation on the line here. Muzz and Paper, 4 eliminations. Man, they've continued to find themselves with elims, but can they get the placement points here from an end game is really what's holding them back, at least coming out of game 1. This game 2 is another prime opportunity right here. Interesting loadout decisions from Muzz to go with the Mythic water bending tool alongside the shotgun here.
I think Muzz is definitely just trusting in the fact that if they want to exchange blows at a distance, the waterbending Mythic will definitely get the job done, but Muzz is also just so slick with how he box fights in the first place. I mean, just think about his iconic moment from yesterday, one of the most brilliant ramp placements that we've ever seen.
It went straight to Twitter.
It's just like
live.
In upper brackets, you know, like it's, yeah, he's got it. If there's anybody that I wouldn't be too shocked at anything they decide to carry, it's definitely Muzz.
Yeah, the caption alone was like, you know, he was like, man, I'm embarrassed for you. Like, it was pretty bad. Sphinx banged up on the rotate here. Has to take a time to pause and heal. He makes it to the safe zone at least, though. Top 25 so now as well for placement, so it's not for nothing, but this is a very desperate position to be in.
5 Fizz, his last bandage. A saving grace, though. That last elimination, won't have to worry just yet. It's all about the rotate at this point. You can tell he's just saving this last little bit of Fizz for the perfect moment. You don't want to go too soon, otherwise you make it too easy for teams to take note of a solo on the rotate, but he also can't wait too long, otherwise he gets held up by everybody else that moved before him. But it does appear as though he's got a little bit of isolated turf, so he's just going to use some of these pre-existing builds. He might have just walked straight into Chubbs and Aviv's line of sight, but no.
The train tracks, look, I like
barely.
it. That sky cam really gave us the vision there for a second. Blake and Macwood on the move right here. 0 elims this game, much different story than the previous one, but Macwood is hurt right now, find himself tagged up on the rotation here. And they were almost to safety, but still have a bit of a stretch to go. Here's the final cut. Nicely done for Blake and Macwood now.
Keep in mind, Blake and Macwood, another one of our teams today at Grand Glacier, they're actually not going to be contested. And it does seem as though it's boding a little bit well for them. Back-to-back lobbies, we've seen them in the end game, so it's all about whether or not they can keep things rolling. But they did have ample amounts of shield. They just needed to find that pause in the action to actually expend those resources, make sure that they are fully healthy on these rotates. Big Bush Bomb gonna be dropped there from Kanata, poised in the mid-ground territory. Meanwhile, Muzz, Paper, still working things through on the low ground, but Kanata and Cooper, they were stealthy, and it pays off. Nice elimination onto Crisp.
You know, I was like, man, I don't know how I really feel about this Bush Bomb in the 1x1 box, but they opened up the wall and waited for Crisp and crew to walk through, and it ends up working out as they hunt him down. Mixon and Paco, though, we talked about them needing that big game, something different today as far as compared to yesterday's showing, and they go for high ground, and now they find Kanata and Cooper here on high 2, but this is that time where other teams need to do something desperate as well. Zooks and Shadow try to go for it. Shadow goes down, and a different team is here too. Is that Craze coming out of nowhere here? Everyone throwing their hat in the mix right now, in the ring here. Paco and Mixon somehow, by the grace of all things, ends up holding the high ground down, and Kanata burnt on his way to the low ground. Mixon desperately tries to jump for those materials and loot there. They need it.
What a defense, though, from Mixon. It sucks that he just gets knocked right as I'm saying that, but he really did hold his own for a moment there, despite getting aggro from every direction. We see the same circumstance here for Clix and Epic. They were scrambling at the start of this one. Clix doing everything in his power to bring his duo Epic back, and sure enough, we're trying to hold it down backside of zone. They could encounter Paper, but Paper, he's gonna get picked off before he even gets a chance to enter the safety of the zone. Tankecito and 21 tearing it up from the high ground currently. No one with a real opportunity to look up just yet. Everyone just so low on builds. Clicks down to his final 3. The trees gonna provide some safety, some material, but Epic's actually gonna be the one to pick those up. Another one Click's gonna try to farm from, but it's just not enough builds.
Ooh. I thought he finished Reet right there, but no, that was a storm elimination that came through. The timing couldn't have been better. Reet forced to heal up now. And what a shame to have all these materials and be caught on the low ground when everyone else up top is so scrappy here. Epic Whale with another elimination. The consistency continuing to play off here, living off the siphon mats. Reet finds Clicks there for the revenge elimination, and it just might be Raps for Epic Whale, who's here on the low ground. Yup, of course. Reet is on fire right now, but can the new blood up top, Tankecito and 21, take this one home against the veteran Reet? So far, the tags are good. Reet's lit up here, and it should be all she wrote with the Hades chain through the wall. You couldn't close it out in a better way.
Hey, Reet was definitely not gonna make it easy, though, but definitely got to play the spoil alert there for Clicks and Epic on the low ground. But Tankecito, 21, those guys have got to be celebrating something heavy right now. I believe that's another one of our lower bracket teams that's coming up with a big victory royale here in day 2.
Yeah, lower bracket boys coming out and representing right now. Tankecito 21 with the big win right here. And also just, can we give some respect to Clicks, whom, by the way, clutched up on behalf of Epic Whale with, of course, the save. And then this. So game 2 is going to go to Tankecito in 21 here. Congratulations on your finals position and slot. You definitely earned it there by taking home the dub, right, Taco?
Yeah, especially when you consider a lot of those veteran teams kind of surrounding them, but high ground wins games, and I'm sure that Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly have a little bit more to say.
Thank you guys so much. Game number 2, Tankecito and 1M at 21. I've only got to assume it's 1 million at 21. Sorry if I also mispronounced your names. I'm just bad at reading. That's a fact. But hey, look, this duo now just punched their ticket going to the grand finals. They're good, right? No more need to stress. No more need to worry about upper brackets or lower brackets. It's just all focus. Next weekend, grand finals. We're trying to play for spots going to the global championships. I'm sure for the duo coming in, especially on game number 2, being a lower bracket duo to qualify like this just has to feel amazing.
What a crazy win, actually. I mean, on the high ground right there with 0 materials, and for some reason, Macwood just kind of goes up unsuspecting of a duo up there, hands them a refresh, and listen, I won't lie, I was rooting for Reet and Ritual in that end game right there. I saw Reet had a plethora of builds, and I was like, oh yeah, this is where Reet 1v2s, but no, that idea was shut down very, very quickly. Well handled by the duo out of the lower bracket again. Kelly, I don't know, I'm seeing a storyline here.
Yeah, I mean, if there is anyone to 1v2 a duo, it would be Reet, but unfortunately he was not able to pull that off right now. But the duo that did, Tankecito and 1 mil, got 26th place out of the lower bracket yesterday, so barely even made it into the upper bracket. They did get a few top 5 placements, but not a victory royale, so excited to see just such a jump in improvement out of this duo.
Yeah, and listen, here's Reet and Ritual. Listen, they were in such a good spot. Look at this, 90 builds. And yeah, unfortunately for them, the change just getting into the box takes out Ritual. And honestly, listen, if that didn't happen, if they were able to stay alive as a duo, 100% they were winning this game. But still, as you can see, Reet being left in a pretty good position as a solo here. I mean, plethora of extra heals to work with. many builds as well, and hits a nice shot on the epic wheel as well. Again, Balder's gonna pull up the 1v2, not this time.
And their aggression started off pretty early. Re and Ritual were in a fight for Rift Island for what felt like forever against Nerface and Serverse, but then a third party came in, eliminated that duo, and then of course in classic Re and Ritual, they returned the favor and then eliminated the third party, of course. So although they didn't get the victory royale, they are currently sitting in our 4th place spot, just below Clicks and Epic Whale. Man, we really thought they were going to be able to do it again, but look at the jump up there. 2 teams out and 3 more to go. I'm excited to see who's it going to be.
You know, they're holding strong. So, and just in case you're like, hey, what's happening with all these points? It's just if you get a victory royale, you're good to go. We'll kind of separate those guys at the top. And now for everyone else, they're trying to stay up in that top 25. Kanata and Cooper slowly starting to fall there, just below Clicks and Reed, of course. But in that case, out of that last game, right, because they ended, you know, 2nd and 3rd place respectively, of course, they have quite an influx of points. But again, when we kind of bring up that consistency, Kanata and Cooper, they just have this in droves, it feels like.
Yeah, and oddly enough, probably the worst game we've seen from Kanata and Cooper so far over the course of the 2 days. And of course, it was a 14th place with 3 eliminations. And a lot of that kind of had to do with the fact that they actually got to these moving zones with not a lot of builds. So not entirely sure what happened there. Of course, still very, very good on Storm Surge, which is usually the game plan for the duo. But yeah, just made it to the end game and not in a good position.
Yeah, around zone 9, they weren't in a terrible position. They were sticking to the low ground, which is what they typically do. And then they even had a few eliminations, some good heals. But I think that the low ground was actually a bit more chaotic than what we're used to. And that might have thrown Kanata and Cooper for a loop right there. But they ended off yesterday in the upper bracket in 1st place outside of the teams that grabbed the victory royale. I can't imagine them, you know, placing below 25th today. There's no way. But can they get the victory royale? It seems always so close, but just out of reach.
It's interesting kind of seeing the jump from yesterday, right? Yesterday felt a lot more controlled. It felt like, you know, there was plenty of control and dominance over resources, right? Fortnite is a resource-based game. You get to the end game, you have no resources, it's going to be really tough for you. But now it feels like the shakeup from these duos coming in from the lower bracket, a lot of duos just don't have anything, right? They're burning all these resources. What do you guys think is happening?
I mean, it's just that thing where we were talking about earlier, right? A bunch of new teams kind of coming in. You got to adapt to how the lobby is kind of playing out. And honestly, for some of our well-vetted teams, those that are used to kind of being in these types of situations, I would imagine that after the first 2 games now, they've got a good grasp on how the lobby is going to play out, where people are going to be basing up, what they're going to be fighting for. And I would expect some of those big names to kind of appear in the end game pretty consistently throughout the last 3 games.
I also think a lot of our players are really worried about Storm Surge, and so that they're kind of engaging in these mid-game fights that maybe they might not necessarily should be, and staying in there very long, and they're using up a lot of material. So even some of our top teams like Paco and Mixon, the EU boys, had height, but then they had 11 builds, and of course eventually they had to drop down, and that's because of the earlier engagements that they were involving themselves in. So a lot of these, it comes down to just not just one variable, but so many different circumstances that put them in there. And I think a lot of people are really struggling with Storm Surge right now.
Yeah, when you put a DMR in the hands of players like this, right, everyone's going to have Surge, and then you're kind of fighting each other for Surge, Vivid. And that's where it kind of gets a little bit difficult, especially when you have like push bombs and height all around. It's crazy.
Yeah, a bunch of those surge bases catching a lot of our competitors off guard. Of course, those bunkers playing a big role as well. Those teams being able to go ahead and throw those thermal scopes on those DMRs. Yeah. Extremely dangerous. A lot of damage from range.
A lot of damage, but a lot of opportunity as well coming our way for game number 3, Zeke. I am excited to see who's going to grab the 3rd VR.
I am excited and stressed. We only have so many games left to go. Let's aim for that victory out. Let's aim for that top 25. But now it's time to jump back up on that battle bus. We've got our eyes in the sky, MDF and the best Taco to guide us all through.
That's right. Thank you, Zeke. And hey, look, I'm looking at teams like Blake and Macwood who have also shown up and put up a great performance now that things have kind of changed for them here on the second day of the upper bracket, not being contested from yesterday. So we're seeing the teams make the right steps in the right directions here, Taco, as they've had new chances here.
I'm just looking at our upper bracket teams in general right now, MDF, because it's all been lower bracket representation here today. For the first time across all regions, we've got lower bracket teams winning the first 2 games in upper bracket semis. That metric alone is ridiculous to think about. So, I mean, we'll get the seed now because game 3 is on hit.
All right, the upper bracket game 3 is here, and we're gonna be jumping off this battle bus here shortly. And like you mentioned, records are essentially being formed right now as 2 teams from the lower bracket have come in and swept the first 2 games here in the NA region. That is not something we see happen very often. In talking about a different type of new feel going on right here, Clix and Epic Whale get the Lavish Lair to themselves, so a moment to breathe for Clix and Epic. However, it is fair to say that Clix was not worried about that duo at all last game. He was really holding it down as he was working what seems to be both those players, Poppy Blast and Dragon, and I think they felt that pressure, right? It seems like they're like, let me get out of here, man. Maybe Clix is a little too good.
I mean, it's the fact that Epic gets the revenge blaster on Poppy.
Ooh, yeah.
In that last match, but Zaire kicking things off hot here at the Grim Gate. It's the difference when you get the Gatekeeper shotgun just chasing down the other teams looking to contest you at this POI. But it's not about these early eliminations necessarily at Grimgate. It's more about your survivability odds, because so many times we'll see teams successfully eliminate that first duo they encounter, or turn a duo into a solo, and that solo then retreats. But the third-party engagements are so problematic because they typically don't have enough left over to continue the engagements.
We jump right into TK and Bacon getting dropped. Little crab dance to put some salt in the wound there. Well played for Funty and Dreamrock here. Oh yeah, you know he's tapping out to save that or send a message.
You know, it's a lower bracket team, man. It's a lower bracket team contesting the upper bracket. And TK and Bacon, they were uncon yesterday at Restored Reels. Not going to be the story here. And Restored Reels is not really a POI that you want to be splitting in the first place. So that is definitely tragic for TK and Bacon.
Ooh.
But that explains so much. Beautiful accuracy on that sniper. The double down though, that's just a mental game.
In sync with the Evo. Oh gosh.
Mubaka kind of hovering. Right side peek, a little bit more to his advantage. But Possessed, certainly not one to shy away from danger by any means. Mubaka's got to be careful though. Doesn't want to lose sight of Possessed duo. Just in case, Jasek will take the opportunity to expend a little bit of Flowberry Fizz. Help his duo regain some of that shield. I like the attentiveness as well from Mubaka, just throwing up the ramp behind him, wants to make sure that third-party circumstance can't come into play. But this split now between Mubaka and his teammate Xpon, kind of just can't help but wonder where Xpon's been throughout all of this. Saw that he was relatively low on shield, could be part of the reason why he opted to just let Mubaka take over the helm with the charge.
Yeah, and the point disparity between these two teams, 30 placement points separate Possessed Jasek from Chewbacca and Xpon here at this contested drop. So it really shows you that Xpon and company have been taking advantage and winning for the most part. But just because you win the first 2 doesn't mean you're guaranteed to close out strong. Anything can happen. And once again, to kind of hit on that fact, this is the first time across all regions that the lower bracket teams have won the first 2 games. And don't forget, the lower bracket format was completely different as well. It was more of your standard open qualifier style of game where a select number of teams and participants had 10 total games to play within the time frame, whereas what you're seeing in this upper bracket is a completely different environment. You're in the same lobby with the same duos, round after round, which can lead to arguably its own difficulties and struggles. So very impressive nonetheless to perform well out of the lower bracket and then come into the upper bracket and win under the upper bracket rule set.
And even better still, fighting your way up from that lower bracket, it's got to give you a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum. And that certainly seems to be the case here in NA today. I mean, we saw even on EU, Teeny and Chap doing excellent job as far as getting their qual in, but Brayden, Zaire, it's almost like they want to run down Chubbs and Aviv, but yeah, Brayden gonna catch sight of Dukes. Dukes didn't have that wall up in time, so he will eat a DMR tag for it. It's a great example of how you can't hyper-fixate on any one position you might spot a player at. You always have to be wary of their duo, Miro. Return fire there.
Yeah, and that could have gone much, much worse if there was a sniper on the other side of that barrel. But
Both of them.
yeah, things do end up being, I guess, slightly favorable for Dukes there. One thing to mention, Miro and Dukes are just coming off of an elimination as well onto Aiden, so Hound likely a solo here. Dragon and Poppy Blast abandon the Lavish drop spot. They land on Rapid and Booga. Rapid is going to go in and clutch up here for the duo. Batman Booga, who was taken out to the hands of Poppy Blast there, so well played for Rapid and Batman Booga. They have a chance here now, as this was a fight for the reboot van. And that'll be a quick pickup and a bounce back here. Rapid's pretty happy about that one.
You have to imagine that Poppy Blast and Dragon probably just gonna opt to revisit Lavish Lair. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand the mentality behind feeling as though you've got better odds switching up the drop if things haven't been panning out in your favor. But at the same time, when you've been practicing one specific position and you just know that route down pat, you usually have better odds just sticking to where you are most comfortable, but understandable considering the circumstances. Dealing with clicks and Epic Whale off spawn is definitely no easy feat.
I don't think they've actually recognized that there's a team lurking right behind them, and these are wood walls. They could get 3-2-1 right here, and probably boxed up right now. Is that? Yeah, not Brayden. Fire Cow coming right back up. They're under the box. So many options here. You can cone them, break them. You can just break the wall, piece him. Okay, they go for the full piece. The ramp goes under and then takes him down. There's just nothing you can do about that when a team gets that close. Instant headshot, and Miro takes off to the sky. Wow.
I'm honestly a little bit speechless. Miro and Dukes were just so confident that they were alone on top of that mountain. But you're not going to get a much better example than that of just the unpredictability that is introduced.
What goes through your mind when your ranch gets broken out? You're like, what just happened?
I can think of several things that Dukes might have said in that circumstance, but not sure that they're mine to share. It's definitely a really tough spot though for Miro to be left in one more time, running it back as a solo. But we've seen Miro definitely make better of worse situations, right? So there's definitely still opportunity for him to try and turn it around.
The bunkers are starting to open up here across the Fortnite landscape. Clicks an Epic Whale. This is a very critical part of their strategy here. To get their attachments, to find their snipers, find their weapons, and really bank out here. And let's see what's going to happen, what's going to come of it. Definite upgrades and options to choose from. More Flowberry Fizz as well, but luckily the storm is right there.
Couldn't really tell, but it didn't seem as though those chests were very generous in terms of providing white heals for Clix and Epic Whale. On that note,
they were on the edge, and that's the one thing that they did have going for them. If that was like deep into the storm, like a deep bunker, probably be GG.
How do you like this though from Muzz and Paper? It seems like they're kind of just trailing behind Bolts on the rotate. Paper clearly ate a shot from somebody else's weapon just now. Miro, look at that. He's got dukes. Already back.
Get back up that mountain like after batting off. I thought that was reps. Miro was committed to the save here. You gotta respect that. I have to guess though, that team in the storm could be the same one that took them down. They're going right back up to that launch pad here. Material split, ammo split, everything comes out of Miro here. It really looks like, oh, it's Chubb, so it's a completely different duo who's trying to make their way towards the launch pad as well. This time, does seem like Miro spots out the threat nearby. He's not letting his guard down anymore here. Cooper and Kanata back in the game here as well. The pickups seem to have been successful. The heals are in. Can Kanata find and get to this HP in time is the question right now. There's other teams flying by right now. It's Pars, it's Baka who's healthy as well. Cooper spots him first, puts the walls down, and not as long gone here is dashing right now. They're gonna have to play probably the pickup train right here.
That's what it looked like at the end. See Kanata getting knocked to that storm tick damage.
Look at this, the bases get uglier every week. I don't know what's going on right here. This is like 2 walls in the middle, a ramp out the side. It's just crazy.
Hey, if it works though, Monster. But he's finding the eliminations apparently outside of the tower. Good stuff with that elim onto Bryce. Kind of amazing at the fact that he was able to connect those DMR shots without a scope.
That was a huge base, by the way. So they had to build 3 floors to come down to get off of that. And now trying to play for the Rift Island once again here. So this just seems to be a key part of the strategy here. They catch Rift Island, no strangers to straight fighting for it. They know what's going to come with that. Last game was a sample of a battle. Let's see it.
Well, the other thing too, they built that massive surge tower, and yet their materials are relatively healthy. I mean, they're basically maxed out, just missing a little bit of metal. But here on top of Rift Island, if they're successful with this capture point, bound to draw the attention of some other teams. You can already see a couple hovering right around the base of this Rift Island. Ritual also gonna go ahead and dismantle their tower. They don't want to allow any other teams to try and seek it out as an opportunity.
Cooper and Kanata, no white heals just yet. Still playing the res train game right now. And Cooper might fall before getting in. No, it's going to be right on the money there. Very, very close. Team on the heels, though. Do they know? Oh my gosh. Someone was very, very close to Kanata and Cooper, but you can see everyone desperate to get out of the storm here is the priority for the most. No mats, no heals. It's shambles town right now. Ooh,
they might be able. Okay, yeah, that's definitely gonna help out. Every little bit counts at this point. And Kanata, mat situation slightly better than Cooper's. Cooper's gonna have to spend a decent amount of time here refarming, and that's dangerous because teams bound to take note of where exactly things are breaking as Cooper tries to refarm. Sandler, Blanc stuck in the middle, but they've already seemed to have gotten a piece of B-Dog in the process. Sandler, though, jumps into B-Dog's box, immediately taken out for it. Fortunately enough for Sandler, his duo is still standing, and Blanc won't be able to go for the revive in time. Does have the reboot card, however, and if he can full disengage, he might have a chance. It's a slim one, but he could try to make his way towards one of those reboot vans. see if he can bring Sandler back to life here. Right now, he's probably just happy about the fact that they got those 2 eliminations confirmed and didn't get full wiped in the process.
Yeah, that was crazy. The duo showed up just in time and Blanc managed to slip out. One key elimination I saw on the feed there, Rapid, who was also a solo nearby Kanata and Cooper at that position on the outskirts there, found an elimination. So that's crazy because he was also in shambles with no HP, one of the few teams that came late out of the storm. So just a little bit of a turn of events here. Clix and Epic Whale back in the game right now. Matt's at about the midway point, so not great, not bad. Definitely some farming and some catching up to do here. Kanata and Cooper should be very much back in the game at this point as they've had time to go in and farm, and seems like Kanata's actually worse for wears on materials, so fights likely breaking out here, holding them back.
For sure, but the water-bending Mythic, just as they finish trying to get a little bit of farm going, Kanata already finds himself completely whittled away as far as his builds are concerned. And at the same time, that position that we just saw Clix and Epic Whale in,
Oh, it's a fight.
one issue that they had is the team on Rift Island. I wonder if Reet and Ritual were still hanging out up there. But if Epic and Clix wanted to look for aggressive opportunities, surge opportunities, they had to worry about that team on Rift Island getting freebie peaks on them and applying pressure from a distance that they can't necessarily close anytime soon. Neko and Zavi as well, trying to see if they can rush in onto Kanata and Cooper, recognizing the fact that Kanata, Cooper, they've definitely drawn some attention from other teams in the lobby. That's going to be Zavi finding himself worse for wear here. Tries to use those Chains of Hades, but it's not going to be good enough. Kanata, though, waterbending Mythic. Cooper trying to strafe through all of these low ground sections, but there's just too much pressure. You can see just how much fire is actually being applied to these boxes. And if it wasn't bad enough for Neko trying to hold down these walls, he's got another team pressuring from behind. And it's going to be way too much to deal with. But I don't even think this is the situation that Higher and Playerfy want to be in, because this team's 3 different teams essentially just honing in on this current position.
And it's with waterbending Mythics. There's no cooldown. Nothing to stop them. Infinite, you know what I'm saying? Pressure they can put down right now. That was just about as bad as it could get for a duo to find themselves under the surge. And that's by far the least, stellar performance we've seen from Cooper and Kanata. Definitely a bad one for sure. But you got to get those out the way, so might as well get it out here and now while they have such a monstrous lead, while they've effectively secured themselves at least a consistency position for tomorrow. So not much to really worry about at this point other than trying to secure a dub.
I just can't believe the literal war crime situation that we saw happening to Cooper and Kanata there, man. But focus back to Clix and Epic. I was talking about how much I like their position.
Larson.
Great chop out onto Larson. Yeah, that's going to be an easy elimination. And then again, X-Spawn, Mubaka. These are some massive refreshes that Clix and Epic have stumbled upon. I shouldn't even say stumbled. They generated that opportunity for themselves. And now they find themselves with another real chance here to try and make a run for a victory royale.
Yeah, just straight cleaning up house right now. Very well played for Clix and Epic Whale, putting them right back into the game here. Definitely earning a lot of points. I don't know if they have the win condition presented to them just yet. I'd like to see them find this set of refresh here. It's not even the points they need, it's the materials they need to generate off of this elimination right here. They find Zcal, and then do not let their guard down for Brayden on the side there. And there, at the very least, is some generated siphon mats. So that's going to bounce them comfortably back up.
Got Fizz? Like,
yeah,
that's a lot of Flowberry Fizz for Epic and Clix to have their hands on. It's also going to alleviate some of the pressure or some of the issues that could be dealt with the zone falling over towards this Mount Olympus side. the elevation changes just so drastic that the zone pools can be vicious. But when you have 3 separate models of Flowberry Fizz to burn through, I would expect them to have a much easier time trying to both challenge for height and just moving over the terrain as is.
Well, this is it. There's only 5 games. This being game 3, this win's going to be very, very important. This is the critical mid position, the midpoint checkpoint in this tournament day. Oh, Verse gets caught off by himself, and so does Nerface. I like the decision from Shore to say, hey, forget going down low and putting our back to this opponent here. He starts to hold off Nerface, lets the zone do the rest for him. Meanwhile, Sprite finds Sharkman there. And they have to go. They've overstayed their welcome. Couple bananas come down for the teammates. I was gonna say, I'm not even sure he was able to pick those up. That's unfortunate.
Oh man. Sure, he's not even able to keep his builds going. Only 1 remains. The last of his hard materials having been expended. And the banana effect's bound to wear off very soon here. Sure, scrambling. Maybe could look to play the medkits for placement. If anything, at least provides a little bit more survivability for a moment. But just lost his duo Sprite, still barely functioning with 21 builds remaining. Not really seeing a whole lot of benefit in this current position either, but it's not really one that is his choice to make. He's just stuck. He knows that there's another team lurking nearby. He's gonna try to play from the backside of zone, but the moment he moves out, you can already tell he's looking back, wary that the team right next to him is gonna pick him apart on the way in. But it's the other duos in the lobby, Chimp, Scissor, spraying down Shore, Force to kind of just run through all these pre-existing builds. Last one gonna be expended here finally, and his final medkit as well. It's only a matter of time, that's what it feels like, before he gets taken out.
I like what he's doing there. Plays the storm a little bit, allow his stamina to regen. And you know what? You gotta give respect to Sprite. He was taken down and immediately dropped all of his material and the heals here, just giving Shore this little opportunity, as small as it may be, but to pick up these very, very crucial placement points right now, which again, this is a team that is inside that top 10 right now, and they're earning their stay, earning their position. Clicks and Epic Whale are gonna fall to the hands of Blake and Macwood. And there has been a little bit of a family feud there, so that's a crazy elim for Blake to pick up. I'm sure we're gonna see something come out of that. And I thought Macwood is down and out. No, he had 1 HP, so needing those heals generated off of Clicks and Epic. And look who's still up. How is Miro and Duke still alive right now? That's another question too to be studied.
Miro and Dukes are definitely putting on a performance for this one, because they have just been through it all, it seems like, in this lobby. And the fact that they're still standing just kind of showcases their experience. Yeah, this is a nice look for Paper and Muzz. Way above the rest of the lobby. Decent material as well. So they can definitely stick up here for a good amount of time.
Gotta hit those shots though. These are very, very important tags to make, not only for the points, but it's the pressure. It's a setback that you put on the rest of the lobby that makes everyone think twice about going for high ground. Baka and Pars in an end game as well here. Very tight spot to be in though. This is not looking lucrative for them by no means. We already know Miro and Duke also have a lot of work to be had here as well. So from what I can see, all the teams we're jumping in with right now aren't in a position to necessarily challenge high ground of Muzz and Paper. Muzz and Paper can have the victory run right now here.
That usually tends to be the case when it comes to Mount Olympus. Zone pool, zone ends. It's just so unforgiving trying to traverse all these natural elevation changes, and Muzz, Paper, they're just gonna keep ramping up.
They're building out with. They have crazy material.
Skyscraper, essentially.
Full floor, full wall, full ramp. They're situated up top comfortably right there. Meanwhile, Blake and Mac with 0 mats, just running across the side here. I was going to say, you got to find your way up because this is Mount Olympus for a reason here, and the zone's pulling just that way. It's only going to get harder and harder. Blake's down. It's all up to Macwood now. Macwood, no stranger to having no health here from what we've seen so far. Oh, misses a pickaxe there. Barely holds on here. Right behind the player. Tries to piece him up here. He's going for it. But no, the zone.
Macwood misses that opportunity because he had to reload his shotgun, so won't get a chance to actually try blast that other player and hope that they might have had some white heals for him. Still has 30 Flowberry Fizz though. Baka also dropped underneath. Miro Dukes hanging out in the low ground. It's definitely familiar territory for someone like Miro. Things are bound to get really scrappy here as the survivors from the reign of terror that Muzz and Paper have had over the lobby so far. Still playing it on the high ground. One more.
I don't hear Muzz and Paper putting pressure down though. I am a little bit concerned about that. Is it the DMR? Okay, yeah, it's the DMR. It's the loadout that really isn't giving them the favorable high ground situation, and now Muzz is out of mats, so he's gonna have to come down. Flowberry Fizz effects are gonna come through, cap off him and his teammate. Muzz stays with what little builds that they have left, and I mean, the win condition, this is a very, very difficult decision to make. Do you go for the mountain and just stay high ground and, you know, choke them out to the storm, or do you go down? And little do you know, it's Duke and Miro. They want you to come down to take the fight right now. And there it is, they have to, and Paper gets caught. Muzz finds one, and this is where Muzz shines best. But he doesn't have a shotgun loaded, he just has to get the tags, and the SMG is good. Muzz and Paper do it, but it was so, so close.
But if anybody's gonna clutch, you can definitely expect Muzz to be him. Absolutely holding it down. Not an ideal weaponry loadout by any means, but he's still making it work when it matters most. And honestly, that's a big deserve, because after that day one that we saw Muzz and Paper experiencing, he deserves this one.
That was not an easy game to win at all. And, you know, I could tell something was up the moment I didn't really hear the tags from high ground coming down. That was the telltale sign, but Muzz comes down. SMG, DMR, like no SMG, just straight DMR, has to hit the tag. Muzz is one of the most mechanically skilled players we have seen, you know, transition into the NA region, and he continues to prove why he's such a top-tier competitor.
Yeah, you already know the relief that's probably overcome Muzz and Paper at this moment, but that's going to be a wrap on game number 3. We've got our analysts to hold it down for the rest of it.
Muzz and Paper, man, that was a nail biter to say the least. In that situation, I love how the casters kind of broke this down for us, right? The loadouts just weren't there. And like for other stages of the game, it's fine. Everything's chill. But in this situation where you're going 2v2, you've got this crazy high ground, you want something completely different. And yet in that final 1v1, 2v2, it goes in the way of Muzz and Paper. Just a crazy final few moments there where you're dropping several layers down. You're trying to track your target, find them, lock them down. Man, but for Muzz and Paper, you know this means the world to them.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing for me was that when we were watching that kind of 2v2 unfold, we were checking out Paper for a little bit. We were on that player POV. He had 0 mats, and MDF kind of called it out, and I was like, wow, listen, they're going to have to jump down and take the 2v2. But no, Muzz and Paper have done this before. They invest all of the materials, all of the loot onto one single person, and Muzz actually ended up having like 25 builds to work with, splashes, a couple of bananas as well. So they invested everything in the Muzz, who was ready to play the heal off. But yeah, ended up using those mats to kind of build out, and then you saw Paper just kind of drop down and play that role of like, hey, listen, I'm gonna just do as much damage as I possibly can. You go ahead and win it.
Crazy stuff indeed. My gosh, this was game number 3 out of 5. And again, we see Dukes and Miro come so close, right? A global champion almost there to walk away with the win. Now, of course, still, if they find themselves in that top 25, we're good to go. Everything's fine. But after this game, with only 2 games left to go, pressure is mounting, Vivid. I'm not here for it.
Mounting, is that little hone? Is that Mount Olympus zone that we were kind of just watching right there? I'm picking up what you're putting down.
No.
3 games have concluded already. Clix and Epic Whale find themselves as the most consistent duo so far. Still crazy, by the way, that game number 2, the reboot. But yeah, the leaderboard right now, not necessarily probably what we would expect.
Absolutely not, right? I mean, given their circumstance, like you said, that reboot, most duos in that situation, they're going to start to drop down the leaderboard, but not for them. Now, as we kind of focus in on Dukes and Miro, they found themselves almost there, right? That final second place there in this game as well. Just like the positioning, you know, the knowledge that they have is crazy. It's next level, right? Their game sense. There's the word. I was like, Brain, where you know what this is? Where is it? But their game sense truly phenomenal, and they really were able to shine here in this game.
Yeah, 100%, right? Controlling the lower ground. We've seen a win from the lower ground already today, so not necessarily the worst position to kind of be in. And Zeke, you mentioned it, right? This 2v2 fight, even though Paper and Muzz won, man, was it extremely close. Dukes could have probably had a couple more shots right here. Ooh, actually opted to go for a reactionary build right there with not enough builds to actually justify it. So that could have been the difference right there. Nonetheless, still a good game.
It was an incredible game, so exciting to the point where my microphone just exploded on me, so I apologize for that. I was just too excited in that match.
That's right. Well, welcome back, Kelly. We love to hear from you and all the things that you have for us. As we kind of continue to take a look here, man, with only 2 games left to go, Kelly, you know, I feel like some of these duos, they're kind of starting to sweat a little bit, right? If they're outside of that top 25, they don't want to go down back to the lower bracket. They want to stay here. You know, what are we hoping these duos can do in these last 2 games?
With there being 2 games, I definitely expect to see a little bit of unique strategies coming out right now, whether that's over aggression or potentially sticking to the low ground in the end game there. There's definitely a lot of avenues for these duos to kind of have a safer run towards the end game, but I don't think they're even going to be trying to go for the victory royale. I think that's too risky. I think they're just going to try and make it to the end game so that they do stay in our top 25. And to do that, you just need to make sure that you have heals. You need to make sure that your engagements in the mid game are actually profitable, whether that's by getting eliminations, getting points, or surviving, and then making sure that you have those builds, because a lot of our duos just seem to be struggling quite a little bit with builds.
Yeah, and listen, one team, listen, you know, the whole NA versus EU thing obviously going on. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and shout it out. Paco and Mixon, 15th place right now. And yeah, that big change from yesterday, day 1 of semifinals, where they were contested, to today, the big change being now uncontested. It seems like they're struggling to find consistently themselves in the end game, usually because of storm surge situations. So that's still playing a factor, right? Got to make sure you get top 25. Could start to get nervous for a couple of our teams here.
Yeah, I love that Kelly called that out, right? Maybe we don't go for the Victory Royale. Maybe we play this like a Grand's Lobby. Maybe we try to play that consistency factor, right? The Victory Royale, we'd love that. And if it happens, awesome. But right now, we need to try and put points on this board to stay in the top 25. Only 2 games left to go, and we have 2 casters standing by. It's Monster D-Face. It's the best Taco. Friends, over to you.
The one thing I did want to say is that this time we do have some veterans taking a dub away, as well as the lower bracket teams set the pace and the tone for this upper bracket day 2. But hey, Taco, look, we're down to 2 more games of Fortnite in front of us. For the win sends you to finals.
Yeah, but there's something kind of brewing over at that Fence and Fields POI MDF. I mean, 3 teams so far this weekend in NA that have qualified into grand finals out of Fencing Fields, and I'm not forgetting about Venno and Tayson earlier either over in the EU region. So there's something a little suspicious coming out of that POI. Everybody's so focused, hyper fixated on Grim Gate, but maybe Fencing Fields is the real success story here.
Yeah, I mean, it's got somewhat of a mid position to the map, right? So you have full accessibility when it comes down to your rotations, but it's been highly, highly contested. I don't think that it has been easy by any means, but either way, let's see what game 4 has in store for us. All right, here we have it, game number 4. 2 more chances now to take a Victory Royale in order to go straight to finals. That last round was full of surprises, and quite honestly, that last engagement was one of the more exciting ones I think we've seen over the course of this FNCS so far. What a spectacular, high quality 2v2 we watched engage there. But you know what? now that I think about it, Miro needed those points as well, right? Like we're not even talking about the fact that they were lagging, really dragging their feet.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a very big second place finish for Miro and Dukes.
They had like 30 points, I think. Like they were doing pretty bad.
It was definitely not the situation that you would have necessarily anticipated those two to be in, but again, seems like they found a little bit of their grounding. If they were able to come up with a big second place finish in that last lobby, despite how tragic it started off with Miro having to even make the reboot play for Dukes in the first place, wouldn't be surprised if they look to keep trying to essentially convert shambles situations into success stories for themselves.
Larson, Oliver OG, another team that's also having a pretty difficult time right now, getting close to that top 25 positioning. The
Well, it's
reach
really
is there.
Oh, you go ahead. I was just gonna say, Breezy Coast, if they're not able to clean up this direct contest at their drop, they're kind of left in a bit of a awkward situation where they've got to basically hinge their surge strategy on rotating down towards Grand Glacier, potentially maybe even looking towards Rescue Station type of territory, but it's not easy to get surge from that position.
Yeah. The way I just feel about that duo right now is, you know, top 25 is very much within reach when you have a foundation of 40 points already under your feet, right? It's just 2 games, so these games, they have a lot more weight. Every game has so much more weight. One big pop-off and you're up inside the top 25. That's what we just watched from Miro and Duke, essentially. And we've seen Oliver OG pull his miraculous runs in the past.
They did have a pretty strong performance yesterday in the lower brackets, and looks as though Larson definitely trying to close in here onto Crims. Just hovering in the water currently. Larson not even going to take the risk. Wants to make sure that he has a little bit more shield before capitalizing on that 2 versus 1 situation. But that is a nice early win for Larson and Oliver OG. Now they can take this opportunity to actually farm out a little bit of the materials that's left over after that skirmish that just took place. And again, just some early surge.
A lot going on here. You get to run it back. So you see that perspective. Larson had the high ground. Oliver OG had the positioning, and it's the Zeus's bolts coming down from up above. The destruction being laid to the low ground. Here we have Big Yo HQ right now in position outside the steps. We have a team up top here. Hard to see, hard to spot. Definitely not the best angle. They want to secure the little bit of loot that they did manage to get generated here from the player they were hunting down. And notice they only got 1 elimination from that entire engagement, so Sprite might have actually earned some of the credits there, and you can see the material count showing us that there was just a siphon worth of material, you know, to come out of that as well, so not too great.
This could be a little bit of a plot though from Kanata and Cooper. Coming out of Kieran's Crossing, they have a tendency to rotate either Underworld or try to look for a third-party opportunity on Grim Gate. And Grim Gate seeming to be a little bit more the direction take, the way that Kanata was headed there. Baka and Pars, on the other hand, they're just trying to ensure that they can close out this next box fight without losing anything in the process. Only a couple of splashes here for Baka, so ideally, Afishy and Hakio might have a little bit more resources that Baka and Pars could benefit off of, carry with them through the rest of this mid-game. But they need to close this fight fast because time to elimination matters in a circumstance where every team surrounding you would love a third-party interference opportunity.
Baka and Pars have an excellent track record as far as being contested or taking early game fights are concerned. They are definitely you know, one of the few in NA that have, I feel like, had a full year of being fully contested and continued to show up and put up numbers in the finals. Definitely a scary team to, you know, take a match against nonetheless. And for Ami Fishing Hakio here, it's not looking too good as they have kind of lagged behind getting their HP to bounce back. So advantage is fully in the favor of Pars and Baka now.
Ammo count, though, not looking too great. Every shot's got to count here for Pars on that Gatekeeper shotgun. And sure enough, he's going to be able to find one elimination. A little bit of an assist there out of Baka. Mayfishy just trying to run for it, but there's nowhere to escape. The launch pad not going to be your bailout opportunity this time. And now Baka, Pars, coming out of the ship at station. This is very reminiscent towards a lot of the strategies that I would see Savage and Mongrel taking, given that they're a team that also likes to land at ship at station. But Baka and Pars looking to have a little bit more success with their methods. Locking down some nice early surge. Potentially even going to be able to cut teams off that are on the outskirts, rotating inwards. All is going to depend on how these zones actually decide to pool.
Epic Whale and Clix have themselves elimination. I wonder if they have the Lavish Lair uncontested again this time around. If Poppy Blast and crew, they had the decision to make. Remember, they gave up the drop and then just got bodied on their secondary strategy, which did not work. And what is Rapid up to? He's just like dashing around Clix and Epic Whale right now. And you can see they're on high alert now. Not happy about that. Rapid, no Batman Booga in sight. Where's his teammate? Oh, there goes Clix. Hesitates on the shot though, misses his opportunity.
Just crazy. Rapid just so far ahead of Batman Booga. But it seems as though Batman Booga was tied up in his own efforts, dealing with the team that's trying to hyper ramp up from behind. And again, I'm just gonna put Batman Booga Rapid on that same high alert that they had just set Clix and Epic Whale into.
Like how Dukes and Mirror are like, all right, we're staying away from big mountains. Just gonna go and do something a little different this game, and they're going straight to the center zone right now. Oh, Mirror might have spotted out a duo up top. Zero and Fade here. They're gonna start sliding their way on into this little bit of a messy set of builds. They have two double-sided angle, but no, another team lights up Duke a bit there with that water mythic.
It's interesting though, just two teams sitting inside of their boxes while Miro and Dukes are pulling up. And at the same time, Zavi gonna bring Neko back into the battle. Rebels Roost reboot van though, bound to alert some of the other teams in the area. Saw at least one kind of near where Zavi and Neko are at, and not only that, but now they've got to take the time since Neko just got brought back into this. He has to reform. He has to try and get somewhat of an optimal loadout to fight with this rotation inwards. And teams that are hanging around Lavish Lair, they could potentially look to cut off the duo that's stuck at Rebels Roost for the time being. Definitely a bit more calm, though, throughout this lobby so far, MDF, and can't help but think that it's largely just due to the fact that we're looking at our second-to-last match of Upper Bracket Day 2. And many teams, if they weren't able to find success with the Victor Royale in games 1 through 3, are currently just trying to prioritize leaderboard placements in general, because 6th through 25th, that's the next sweet spot to find yourself in if you can't get that actual Victor Royale.
Yeah, definitely telling. Look at this. Aiden and Hound find 2 eliminations here. Misses onto Zavi, who was just playing for the pickup here at the reboot van. He thought he was safe and it was all sweet, but like the attraction from the reboot van just brought Aiden and Hound straight to the Rebels Roost. Yep, looks like the zone's starting to move in now, so they're gonna pick up their spoils of war here and get right on in. This team needs it. Look, they're only at 44 points, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a big help finding those eliminations, kind of creating a little bit of a safer rotate as well. But for Hound and Aiden, the current issue is just going to be the fact that with the zone pulling more towards that Underworld Grim Gate side of the map, keep in mind the Rivers of Styx, the Underworld dashes. It's going to be very problematic from this point on to actually try and prevent players from escaping. Just so much survivability that's allowed with the Underworld dashes, and it's just really hard to keep track of where players are actually at.
Paco mix in rotation right now, very reminiscent of old original Arkham Dead Side rotates, utilizing a lot of that water to go around the outskirts. Mixon and Paco have also held height longer than any other NA duo this weekend, which is crazy to even take into consideration that they haven't picked up a win after having high ground for the longest amount of time as far as a full height hold is concerned. And it makes you wonder, like, could they just time it a little bit better, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Go too soon, and more often than not, that's the problem.
Well, the other thing, too, is even when teams have height in NA, what they don't ever seem to have is builds. And so that could be a big contributing factor for as to why we see so much hot potato essentially being played from the high ground. Batman Booga trying to take advantage of that DMR from inside of his surge base. I like the fact that Batman Booga and Rapid have also split. There at the Underworld, they got a pretty good idea. If a team is going to rotate in from Rebels Roost, they'll be able to spot them out, and there's typically not going to be teams much further than Rebels Roost. Otherwise, you're looking at what, like a Paco and Mixon rotation, but on the north side, and can't say I really expect any of the teams that drop towards that north side of the map to be opting for that sort of strategy. So it's just nice to try and get some surge that way.
Yeah, it comes with its own risk, right? Being so far away from other teams. Bryce and Bolts, though, here's a team that we haven't seen much of their early and mid games, I would say, but we have seen a lot of their end games as they have really fought tooth and nail to consistently remain within the top 3. A win feels like it could be all but guaranteed before this weekend's over at some point or another, as they've just kind of figured out, I feel like they've really figured out what they want to do in the mid to early games to pop up and show up so often in the end game.
Almost surprised to not see Reet and Ritual at the Rift Island. But Bryce, Bolts, they've got a tango with Shore and Sprite up here now, and Bryce already ate a tag just on the way up, taking that Rift in the first place. So he's definitely going to look for this opportunity to recover his shield. And Victor and B-Dog could be another team to essentially pose a threat currently for Bryce and Bolts. But again, one of the central benefits of being up here on the Rift Island is just knowing that you can re-farm brick and materials in general, no problem. Sprite, though, not going to make it easy for Bryce. I like what Bolts is doing, though, trying to set up a box on the edge of Rift Island. But it has drawn the attention of Sprite and Shore, so he'll have to be wary. He doesn't want to find himself getting chopped out above that many people.
So much players here at the Grim Gate. 160 point situation looking for Reet and Ritual right now. Excellent, excellent performance here. I mean, this is, if anything, what will likely be just a glimpse of how they look to play, or will look to play, the finals next week. They've got their strategies, they've found their consistency, but can they continue to rack up high placing positions, top spots, hopefully a win, secure in their finals spot, lock it in, talked about these bases ever evolving. I don't know what in the world Chewbacca and X-Spawn have going on up here, but it's an interesting one. And they're utilizing the bush bomb here too, just to have full reign on players in the distance, and feels like it's very much meta to have the thermal scope on the DMR right now as well.
Yeah, the indirect buff of that thermal scope with the reintroduction of those big bush bombs, but still not easy to actually connect with those shots. You saw the way the players were rapidly rotating, rapidly dashing. It's helping everybody save a little bit more of their material count though, with the zone falling more towards this river of sticks and the underworld water area in general. But Blake and Macwood pretty happy to see this campfire currently. They don't have, at least Blake doesn't have any white heals currently, so this is going to be a very big benefit, a nice setup point to help Blake and Macwood essentially try and propel themselves a little bit closer towards the action. They have managed to secure a slight dead side portion of the zone currently.
Yeah, they went from a bad position to relatively stable one. They still have Flowberry Fizz. They have the underworld river, like just a pond, right? They don't even have to expose themselves to the full river. They have a pond right there that'll give them the effects. So all in all, this should, yeah, start to line up for them. Baka and Pars have found themselves inside the zone pretty comfortably now as well, too. You can see those 2 eliminations definitely setting themselves up right as far as damage is concerned. And look, they want to go even more center. They don't want to risk it at all. Trying to play to the best of their odds right here. Get away from those teams that are going to start rotating in. This is actually a great spot to be in. Cooper and Kanata playing the Surge base for sure. Big boy base set up here. Foundation rock solid as well. You can see the extra ramps and walls to protect it.
With only 1 elimination though. Those are the kinds of tags that you want to see happening. Kanata definitely still on the hunt. And he's got a really good stronghold here because there's a couple of teams a little bit more towards that wet side coming from near where that bunker location is essentially situated at, but Miro dropped in seconds. Dukes will manage to turn things temporarily. Aiden held at bay. This could be an opportunity to just trade revives, but instead Duke's gonna have to drop 1 more layer. Looking to challenge Hound outright. Another team has now introduced themselves to the conversation, and that's gonna be Dukes likely having to forfeit.
They're taking the body. Look, they've effectively taken Miro's body from the storm and dragged them into the next couple of boxes. G-Monster reciprocal here. Dukes is probably wondering, like, what is going on right now? He doesn't have time to spare here. There is a med kit. Okay, double med kit, he grabs it. Let's give him a lot of options now.
What's also nice is that Reciprocal and G-Money, they just left. This could be just so fixated on taking each other out. It's just so unfortunate when a third party just intervenes entirely, because now both those teams worse for wear, and I don't even think that was an initially good fight in the first place, considering where they were situated at. It was kind of just begging for another team to force their way into the conversation.
Yeah, they were kind of like out of the line of sight, but a bit too passively positioned, and all of a sudden, you saw what happened there. Everything else played out. Re and Ritual have had the zone pull directly on top of them time and time again now. The zone goes furthermore into the north side of the Grim Gate here. So it's going to start drawing its way out of the water. That'll start to make things very interesting here in the end. Who's going to be able to save their dashes will likely come away with it in the end. Reed also using the Wings of Icarus as well. Interesting to see how teams are holding on to those. I don't think we've seen them actually come out though, like in full play, but they've
the Buka story.
inventory.
Booga and Agers. Well, primarily just Booga, I think, is going to be the first player on NA, at least, that comes to mind for Wings of Icarus preference. But yeah, here today, that's definitely kind of a first-timer situation there. But Reed and Ritual always wants to be able to showcase their flexibility and newly developed strats.
I almost forgot Clix and Epic Whale were in this game, honestly, with how quiet they've been just lurking, and it does seem like the zone's gonna go far, far east here. Mixon and Paco find themselves on the wrong side of the territory, and then on the wrong side of the surge, so they jump into Epic Whale and Clix's box, and the damage and punishment was laid down, but not enough to finish off Epic Whale here, so they're gonna have to count their lucky blessings. That could have went terribly bad for them. As Paco and Mixon, look at how much loot they delivered. They weren't necessarily desperate just yet. However, they didn't want to wait to chance it out against the Storm. And look at this, Clix and Epic Whale actually needed those elims too. They're only 300 above, and with how healthy Paco and Mixon were, I mean, that's the 400 damage that was just given to them. So crazy how things just line up for them right now.
Not Clix's first care package, that's for sure, but
right.
Hey, you'll never see duos complaining in those kinds of circumstances. Thought for a moment that Rapid and Batman Booga were going to try and ruin Clix and Epic's day. They could have potentially keyed from their position since they were just one box over from where Clix and Epic had previously been at, but the zone pool has got everybody on the go here. A little bit of Flowberry Fizz, regenerate some of the shield. Clix Epic planning their next area of attack, and actually Clix just gonna throw up a couple of small shield potions. Seems like they're content right now to just stick it out on the low ground. They've managed, Clix can tell there's a team holding height right now. Whether he knows it's Baka and Pars is a different situation, but they're good on Surge. So as long as you're safe for the time being, you don't really need to do anything to compromise their current position. They're probably just gonna wait for when the zone actually starts to close to get a move on.
Yeah, they have to jump on the zone right here. This is the best spot to be in. Pars and Baka have the height, though. So their decisions to go center and trust in their gut to play for the middle of the Grim Gate has definitely paid off. And I highlighted this team at the start as a team that I genuinely thought was going to dominate in the early game, but it's taken them a little bit to get online. And right now we could be seeing the early signs of what could be them taking the throne from Paco and Mixon for the longest endgame hold if they can do it to win it. It's not going to be easy, though. Baka's already halfway through his material. He's burning a lot to state. Pretty rock solid up top.
Sure, definitely in a tough spot. Fade, gonna catch a Fade on the go away there from Shore, but Sprite falling will leave Shore
no
try and play it as a solo. Epic and Clix, though, they found their opportunity. They've been eyeing it out, scoping out the territory, and that's gonna be a force down. Pars abandoning the high ground. Clix more than happy to scoop it out from underneath. And now Clix and Epic, they've got another threat behind them. Sphinx, hello?
This is just tragic. Sphinx and threats come out of nowhere, but they get dropped down as the fight breaks out here. Epic Whale and Clix do not want to give this up easily. However, they are, I think, still not maintaining height just yet. Yeah, look at the way Epic Whale's building. He's throwing cones above him here. Not quite sure if there was a team up top, so it cost him a little bit. Kanata and Cooper now look to take height themselves here, and it's just an all-out battle here, and Epic Whale is willing to bolster up and puff his chest out to fight back for it, and he does maintain his position there, and it costs Kanata everything. Now down to 5 mats. Into the box he goes. He needs this refresh, and he gets it, and it's onto Pars. Finishes up what was left of him, and they are right back into the game, but they're in a much worse position than they were before. And I just have to wonder who's on height. Link and Zyro were the last to jump, and it seems like they get to reap the rewards of everyone else's struggles.
Look, Clix and Epic had already laid down the foundation for most of what's situated up here on height currently. Kanata and Cooper just completely ruining that potential game-winning opportunity there.
Look,
for
no
Clix and
mats?
Epic Whale and Cooper, yeah, no mats no life as he gets knocked in the process. Kanata, though, trying to break through into this next box, will manage to pick up a med kit, but again, he is forced to just stay underneath these other builds because with Link and Zyro up top, it's only a matter of time before Kanata gets spotted out. A brief moment, though, as he picks up a handful of builds, some leftover loot that's fallen from other bodies surrounding him, but Bolt's at the forefront, actually, on the low ground. And Zyro, he's going to be forced to drop as well. No materials, but that might just be enough here for Zyro and Link. They just need to find this last player, and Victor might be going for the heal off.
Yeah, but he dropped that heal off so early. Like he's trying to jump on over to see what he can do. And it is not going to be enough. Link and Zyro with the most well-timed, to be the most well-timed duo for the high ground take there. Take the win for game number 4, and they walk themselves to finals. And today has been a day of all types of upsets and different stories going down. I was celebrating so soon for Bolts there because it really was looking like they had everything that they needed, but just wasn't going to be enough, Taco.
For Link and Zyro, it almost seemed like, I don't even know that they necessarily wanted the high ground, right? They managed to just isolate Epic after they recognized, hey, Cooper, Kanata, they've already played spoiler to the fact that Clix and Epic were trying to hold down the high ground. Just talk about patience is a virtue, because Link and Zyro could not have picked a better moment, essentially, to overtake the high ground.
At this point, I'm just thinking, how many lower bracket teams? Is this another lower bracket team coming out of nowhere? Zyrobot and Z-Link for the game 4? Well, we'll have to find out there. Taco, what a game for sure to unfold here. All types of surprises here for the upper bracket too. Let's go ahead and send it over to Zeke to keep us updated, though, on the standings.
Thank you guys so much. Big shout outs to you guys. And of course, Zyro and Link, a victory royale, which means a ticket punch to grand finals. Man, when you looked at that lobby toward the end game, there was just so many big names, so many duos left to fight solo.
Yeah.
It was another one of these crazy games, and it all came down to the height, right? Like, we thought it was looking good. We thought Clix and Epic Well had height. It was fine. But, you know, Vivid, sometimes certain things unfold.
Oh my gosh, certain things, a whole lot of things that game. So many teams kind of looking to play the high ground first and foremost. I have no idea how Clix and Epic Well even ended up on height over Bach and Pars. It seemed like they were so high up, and then Clix and Epic Well win the fight. Kanata and Cooper are sitting front side of zone, spraying back, and all of a sudden we blink. Link and Zyro on the high ground.
Honestly, it's all about taking advantage, and these players clearly were paying attention to the absolute chaos that was going on in high ground. 4 different heights still happening in the span of 30 seconds, and our casters were asking about Zyro and Link and where they came from. They did come from the lower bracket, but they got 4th place yesterday, including 2 victory royales, and they clearly showed that they were able to grab the winning moment yesterday and then again today. So excited to see how they're going to do in the grand finals.
Hey, consistency. Win games, end up in that top placement. Now we're going to grands, and now it's about playing for the Axe of Champions and a spot to the global championships. Link, they've got to feel super, super good. Shout outs to Zyro and Link once again. Clix and Epic Well, I just wanted to go back to them. Yeah, man, that high fight, I don't even know what to call this anymore. Height fight? Sure. It was kind of insane, especially like these guys they were in such a good position for so long. And then this is like a great example of like, it doesn't matter what it looks like or how good it looks. Sometimes a duo is just going to push you, and then it's just like chaos, right? And it's duos that can kind of find their way, navigate this chaos. They can kind of ultimately hold that high ground. But this one seems to have been just a little too much of a shakeup there for Clix and Epic Well.
I don't know what it is. Kelly, we've had this conversation multiple times. It's like so many times they're on the high ground, and it just seems like they can't hold it, whether it's just like the lobby sniffs out some weaknesses that are there, or they're just doing something wrong. It just feels like every single time it's almost the same story.
By the time they took height, they had about 50 builds just on Clix. I don't know what Whale had there, but it's not their builds, and they even had decent heals. It's their loadout, and I'm wondering if they weren't able to get a bunker this game. We weren't really able to watch that happen, and they just had green and blue weapons there. And so once these engagements did happen, they were in the lower echelon of that capability. But looking at the teams that we have here in our standings, Clix and Epic Whale, even though they're not able to hold height, they're able to hold the high ground in our leaderboard, currently sitting in 5th place right now. And then, of course, Kanata and Cooper, the duo that tried to steal height from far away, in 7th place. Not a bad spot. Ooh, I'm so excited to watch this height steal right here because they were ramping from so far and actually going for the chop early into the height steal. I love it.
Yeah, it looked really, really good, right? They were front side of the zone, of course. Clix and Epic Whale getting slowed down by the fight between them and Threats. But it seemed like Kanata and Cooper just got, they took damage from somewhere whilst that was going on, forced to kind of back off. And then we saw Kanata go ahead and try to solo clutch up right there, but ended up coming 5th place. Played the med kits for as long as he possibly could. So clutched up a couple of points there. Still going to be sitting in 7th place. So with only one game to go, Zeke, I would say that they're definitely going to be top 25 at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you can kind of tell he clearly was not playing for the Victory Royale. This is actually something Kelly brought up in the last game, was maybe we don't play for the Victory Royale anymore. Maybe we just played to lock ourselves into the top 25, or for a duo on that bubble on the very end. We're trying to get into the top 25 to stay in the upper bracket. As we continue to flip over, let's see who is currently on the bubble. 88 points, tied between two duos right now. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read oh my gosh. Okay, so this is kind of crazy. And the fact that it's Paco and Mixon, Dukes and Miro as well. We've seen both these duos pop off yesterday, today, and they're sitting here on the bubble, Viv. That's quite scary.
I mean, yeah, there's other duos down there, 29, 28. You got Aviv and Chubbs, Oliver OG and Larson. Wow, this last game, the victory is going to mean a lot, Kelly, but so is all of the points, placements, eliminations, everything.
I am so excited to see what is going to change in this final game. We already saw a little bit of a change in last game. Game number 4, Ree and Ritual switching over to Grim Gate, but it also seemed like half of the lobby was over there as well. So maybe we're even going to see some more changes going into this final game of day 2. But I do just really quickly want to give a shout out to, we now have representation from Mexico and from Colombia from our teams that have made it through today. So I love to see this international. And speaking of international, Muzz also made it through. So I love to see this. I just want to give a big shout out to the international competition that we're having here over in North America.
One game left to go. This is it. You can see the stress on my face. I can feel it right now. We're looking for the Victory Royale, looking to stay in the top 25, or if we're outside that top 25, want to fight our way in. This is day number 2 of the semifinals. Let's do this one last time on the day. Casters, take it away.
It's all right, Zeke. We can calm down. We still have game 5. Then, of course, a full rack of games tomorrow. Maybe the end of tomorrow, you can let your stressor start to rise as chances start to run thin. But Taco, here we have it. Game 5. It's already here.
Things might get messy here, though, MDF, just because of the simple fact that if you are not the team securing the Victory Royale, well, you better be one of the teams in that 6th through 25th position, because that's what I feel like a lot of our teams in this final lobby are really going to be trying to emphasize on. If they're just outside of that 25th place position, everything in their power, all the strats, they got to come out because Game 5 is ready to roll.
I'm excited. Here we have it. Game 5 is here. Who will take the last Victory Royale on the NA region here on this wonderful Saturday evening? Well, hopefully it's a team that is well deserving of it, which everyone here is, but it's not going to come easy. Take a look as we're starting to jump on out. Mount Olympus contested by a couple teams here from the quick glimpse of the map. And you know what? We haven't really talked about how the battle bus can influence your drop spot or play a factor, but it surely does. And this bus is going to make it really difficult for all the teams that are landing on the western side of the maps, as they will have a long stretch to get to their drop first.
You can already see, though, the Armada is arriving at Grim Gate. One after the other. Chimp and Scissor, though, gonna get the best drop currently there. Chimp with the God Chest. May Fishy likely shot out of the sky on their departure from the battle bus. Unfortunate stuff, but Chimp has no time to spare here. Just trying to loot out as quickly as possible. Take advantage of some of these barrels here. Get a little bit of shield online. And Chimp actually gonna be max 200 soon. That's gonna be a very optimal fighting position. Blue Gatekeeper shotgun as well. You can already tell there's a player approaching from the stairs. And pretty big possibility here too for Chimp that he just tries to meet up with Scissor as soon as possible. Maybe look to challenge Pops and Monkey. Try and overtake Grim Gate essentially, because the sooner they can lock down that aspect of agility, the sooner they get that Mythic Gatekeeper shotgun, they'll be able to really take over in this final lobby.
Yeah, just fully aware that there's opponents everywhere here. Ritual and Reet touch down, find themselves a quick elimination here at the Reckless Railways, and then they're off to cap their materials out to get ready for the end game here. Look at this. Are they... I think they're sitting on top of a reboot card, if you ask me.
This is some villainous behavior.
I think they know exactly what they're doing. They're like, yeah, you're not getting this, buddy.
Cooper and Kanata, though. Again, we've seen a good amount of these two in the end game as well. 184 points currently. So I'm pretty confident in saying that these guys are basically set as far as that 6th through 25th position is concerned.
Oh, yeah.
But I do want to clarify for the rest of this lobby, 26th through 50th, don't worry, it's not the end of the road. They'll still have tomorrow's lower bracket to play through. It's just a lot more ideal to make it in through uppers, obviously.
But do Dukes and Miro have enough? 88 points to me doesn't feel very safe. So this is a scary, scary fight. Now, they have been fighting here at the Classic Courts just about every game. We've seen one or two of these duos fall victim to Miro and Dukes in the games, but look, they also have 60 points, right? So it has shown you that Aiden and Hound have found their fair successes of making it out of these early game battles here. So far, the trades are good for Aiden here, who just punishes Duke big time here. And it's a bit of a reset right now. They got to get their HP back up if they want to go ahead and walk away with this one. But, I mean, what's your take? Taco, do you think Miro and Dukes have enough to get top 25 right now?
It's too close for comfort, right? But I think if Miro and Dukes can replicate some of their late game success, find themselves with a strong placement, yeah, you could see hovering right at 24th. That is definitely on the cusp. Very possible for them to get edged out of that top 25 if they're not careful. So I think that's part of the reason why we see them not opting to play out that fight situation entirely with Hound and Aiden. They got a little bit of surge damage. That's more than good enough for the time being. They can just fall back and look for another opportunity to try and strike, because getting eliminated early on, it would just make it all too easy, I think, for these players, especially inside of that 26th through 30th range, to overtake them.
Zabi with the high ground right now, putting down the pressure here. And I saw Flinty take down actually TK. That's the second game in a row TK and Bacon fall. And I mean, for all we know, the vets TK and Bacon might be out of the top 25 as well. We're going to see some upsets for sure as the standings start to update here. All of these engagements are going to have implicating factors across the standings, whether you're in a position to potentially win and go straight to finals, or just have a chance at day 3 essentially, which is what's on the line right now. Ignalize finds Zooks, or one in the feed there. Zooks' shadows on the pressure right here on the prowl. What do they have? Dragon and Poppy Blast have gone over to the Mountain Lippis here, have tried their chance here after giving up the Lavish Lair to Clicks and Epic Whales. So just shows you the flexibility in a team and duo like Dragon and Poppy Blast. And look at this, they're trying to turn this back around and put the pressure back onto Shadow and Zooks.
Hey, nice DMR shot. Helps things out just a little bit here. Poppy Blast as well, applying even more pressure with that waterbending Mythic. And honestly, MDF, these two have kind of been on tour so far today. Ever since they decided to give up trying to take that initial contest battle at the off spawn with Clicks and Epic at Lavish Lair, we haven't really seen a whole lot out of them since, but They're just trying to play their cards right. Trying to look for a strong finish to the day. While Aviv and Chubbs, ooh.
Aviv and Chubbs at 70 right now, so inching their way to top 25. This is it. All these elims are massive for teams that have a bit of a foothold in the competition right now.
But see, Aviv and Chubbs, keep in mind, they're on the other half of that split that Dukes and Miro like to go to in between Coastal Comms and Slumber Yard that's east of Classic Courts. The fact that Hound and Aiden stuck around as long as they did, they might have gotten a false sense of security once they recognized the fact that Dukes and Miro had opted to continue their rotation, continue not trying to stick around at Classic Courts, but this could be part of the reason why Miro and Dukes didn't want to stick around. They knew it was only a matter of time before Aviv and Chubbs made themselves known. Aiden with one knock, though. This is winnable. Chubbs, it's a precarious situation. He might just go immediately for the revive. He might even have a chance to stick it. Aiden doesn't have a whole lot of HP to operate with.
What's insane is if Aiden didn't miss that first pump shot, it would have been on for Chubbs right there. But he did, and that gives him a chance. Meanwhile, Epic Whale and Clicks are fighting for their tournament win at this point, as they found themselves right in between the claws of Kanata and Cooper. This is by no means any pushover duos here outside the Grim. But all right, everyone recognizes one another's skill sets and back off here. That could have gotten crazy. Some of the most consistent teams, of course, playing against one another. We jumped away from the Chubbs battle. We have an update as he had to save Aviv in that moment. Like we talked about, top 25 is all that matters here. So in order for him to maintain in the game, he had to put down Aiden, and he did. So that's where we leave there. But now he has to actually reboot his teammate, and that attracts Miro and Dukes to the equation because they took down or likely hurt Hound in the process here. So it's not looking good for Aviv. He gets sniped out of the sky here, and Chubbs is left to fend for himself at the van. Miro's got one side, Duke's got the other. Duke's more concerned about the zone right now, as we talked about. Consistency means more. So in a different setting, Taco, they would finish this fight. However, with day 3 on the line in top 25, they're gonna allow Chubbs to see another day.
Dukes really is the true villain of NA, though, man, because when you really boil it all down, Dukes being one of the primary reasons that whole shakeup happened in the first place with a lot of these teams, Miro and Aviv splitting because Dukes wanted to snipe Miro from Aviv, and then for Dukes and Miro to potentially be the ones to forcibly remove Chubbs and Aviv from the lobby, because even with
they left Chubbs, they knew who exactly was in that reboot van. It was Chubbs there, and to me that just shows the ultimate respect. Like, all right, that's still a very, very good player. Like, let's get to the
But they're forcing him to waste more time. He's got to go grab Aviv's reboot card one more time, try to bring him back into the action, and then they're still ahead of him, and they're moving towards the zone. So Chubbs and Aviv, that's still going to be time, that even more time now that they have to expend refarming resources. But when they get towards the edge of zone, they're likely going to meet with Miro and Dukes yet again.
Well, we'll find out. Meanwhile, Reet and Ritual managed to get their HP back up after getting ambushed by Vorteca from the high ground here. And Grim Gate has just been incredible to watch play out for once on NA. While Boyo and Peterbot are not in the lobby, all of a sudden now this is the home of the action, if you will.
Like this, though, from Reet and Ritual. They've definitely managed to secure their own space route, and Ritual, safe rotation into edge of zone for now. They can just look back, spray down everybody else. Kanata and Cooper, meanwhile, Flappy trying to be slick with it.
I like it.
Not gonna work out, though.
I like it, though. That was really slick. He could have waited longer, honestly. They had no idea he was there. Took the first shot, didn't get the full elimination blows, so that's on him. Kanata and Cooper wearing the damage, though. So they don't have big pots. Epic Whale has to be careful. Shots coming in from behind. This is This is bad. This is bad for Clix and Epic Whale right now because they are distracted, and I called it. The sniper shot comes in, and Clix is looking so hurt right now. But he's fast, he's quick, he uses Underworld Dash to get to the other side, get back to Epic Whale. He might be able to recover from this, but not if the duo in the distance starts to recognize there's a fight going down and fire in. But Epic Whale putting up the great defensive tags onto Kanata is gonna buy Clix all the time that they need.
And look at that team hovering near the bridge still by that weapon bunker close to Caron's crossing. Kanata and Cooper thought they were gonna get the upper hand here for a second, but one more time, another disengage. What a perfect defense though from Epic Whale. He truly held it down, didn't panic for a second, and just made sure that Clix wasn't gonna fall anytime soon.
Yeah, and also, man, respect to Clix to just dash across and really put himself at distance bay, right, to get to Epic Whale's side right there. So well played, utilizing the Underworld's dashes the way you're supposed to in those situations. See it though, Rift Island spawns up, Fago and H-Cube get to it first. Duke and Miro have a chance to go up. Reet and Ritual have found themselves somehow around it every single time. It's almost as if they just have an eye for where it's gonna spawn, but then again, the zones have been pretty favorable to this general area, right?
Yeah, Pleasant Piazza, Rift Island spawn. It's realistically not that difficult for Reet and Ritual to traverse towards coming out of Reckless Railways. But I'm more so focusing in on the fact that Q, Fago, they seem like they're going to be the ones to claim the capture point here on Rift Island. Dukes and Miro also providing company, but making quick work of refarming some very important materials.
How many teams are here?
There was at least 6 underneath.
This is the most contested Rift Island. This is like reminiscent of back when you got points for being up here. Like, what is going on?
I counted 6 just in that frame. 5 on the island itself, and then G-Money and Reciprocal underneath. So probably gonna try and pay a visit there as well.
Not only that, a healthy player count here as well. 73 alive. You take a look at the top left there. 37 duos in the game, so a lot of solos in the mix, but good healthy mix of yeah, players up right now. The last game had a lot less. We had about 60 or so coming into the zone here, so it's really showing you guys that this last game means the world for some of these players here who need to break top 25 or pull a miraculous win to go ahead and push your way to finals. Pars and Baka, one of the teams that have to worry about the ladder. They want the win. They're not too concerned about consistency right now. Last game, they tried to put themselves, you saw that, Taco, such a great effort, but Clix and Epic Whale had a different story in mind, the way they wanted to see that play out.
Yeah, again, just gonna touch on the fact that Pars and Baka, one of the more popular teams that like to play for the Forecast Towers, especially since their drop ship it station has the potential for one spawning so close by. 2 of them technically if they want to venture a little bit further south, but when I saw them swimming in the water like that, MDF, I was almost thinking to myself, what if they encounter Paco and Mixon
That'd be cool.
along the way?
That'd be unlucky, honestly. Paco Mixer, scary.
Oh, for sure. It's just, it's always a little bit funny seeing teams just swimming on that dead side of the zone. Right intentions from Rapid to look for good surge opportunity, but you're not going to get many of those, and they've alerted Reciprocal and G-Monster to the fact that, hey, we've got eyes on, so the builds go up, and the opportunity is now slipped between their fingers. Rapid, Batman, Booga, they're going to have to get a move on and just hope that next go round they'll be able to actually capitalize on some connected shots.
Quick update with Clix and Epic Whale. Halfway through the material count. Lots of players on the rotate right here. And a team directly on his heels. They have the high ground as Reciprocal and G-Monster. Clicks with a good read there. And they try to jump in onto Epic Whale. What is this? Desperation here. If I had to guess, and Epic actually gets tagged. The finish comes in. G-Monster doesn't get the full finish onto Epic Whale. I'm not sure what happened. It had to be the zone that likely ticked him over. Clicks almost boxes up G-Monster there, but he's got to save his teammate.
It could have also Rapid and Batman Booga. Keep in mind they were also behind. Epic maybe got clipped from afar. It's a good revive though from Clicks.
Yeah, quick pickup there. No hesitation here. He's got his, split some heals there. There it is. So they got the med kits. They hear shots in the distance. They're both going to go ahead and pause down here to heal. That was kind of crazy.
That was really tragic though. For the other team, not for Clicks and Epic. A nice play. Now back-to-back circumstances where Clicks and Epic will have essentially played for the other and done an excellent job at defending their duo. Some strong synergy coming out of those two in our final lobby here today. It's something that Aviv and Chubbs are definitely trying to replicate.
I was going to say, no way Aviv and Chubbs with a crazy comeback run right now. This is wild. Aviv, Chubbs now at 4 eliminations after taking down Dream there. Zone nearby. Top 25 in their sights. That threshold, though, if we can see the standings, I'm sure it has jumped up a good margin because a few of those other teams that had the positioning there are still in the game. So it is not going to be easy. They will have to likely pull a top 10.
Also just saw G-Money get picked off in the elimination feed. And that was credited to Pars, so plenty of people still looking for prime opportunities. Oliver OG. Ooh. DMR is good to go. J-Sick, I am so sorry.
Wait.
That's going to be it.
And that puts Oliver OG at 80 points as well, so he's right there with Chubbs and Aviv. Yeah, this is all tough competition. Oliver OG and Larson can do it. However, they will also need likely a top 10 Wardis to start dropping their competition like Chubbs and Aviv, who's right in front of them right now, boxed up. Clicks and Epic Whale come in late from the zone here. They're in struggle town as they've managed to somehow survive the fights and then survive and weather the storm here that does so much damage just late in the game. Cooper finds an elimination there as well, so Cooper and Dukes getting active. I see Dukes catch an elimination. All right, we got a lot of teams on the bubble here in the conversation. Things are getting super exciting here for the last game of the North America. This is game 5 of 5. You got to be top 25 if you want to make it to at least day 3 tomorrow for your chance at finals. Otherwise, it is a matter of getting a win here today, right here and now, or it's over.
Fencing fields as well, where the zone is pulling towards. It's just kind of condensing all of these players in a relatively flat area, which might be part of the reason why we see the elimination feed just lighting up currently. Oliver OG with the knock, though. That is a tough break because we just highlighted the fact that Oliver OG, 82 points, he was so close. But now,
finish. Oh.
And Ritual just had to do it to him. It's dog eat dog world sometimes, and that's gonna be it. But keep in mind though, Oliver OG Larson being outside of that top 25, 60 25th, they can still make a run in the lower bracket from tomorrow.
Well, let's take a look at how it played out. Re and Ritual here come through, find Larson. He's already weakened from the rotation and the initiation there, and Re and Ritual found a 3rd elimination, adding the duo to the card, if you will. But look at this, they also needed that damage, so it makes sense that they would have taken a fight there. So now to start moving to new zone. Ooh, you see that sniper glint out of Clix's perspective there. That is a scary sight. And Dukes is still going, by the way, Taco.
I think Ritual actually got clipped by Clicks there, by the way, given his health situation. But yeah, Dukes and Cooper, Kanata, everybody's kind of just got a hustle on right now.
Let's hear the damage coming in. Pressure's on right now. Zone 8. Low grounds, never been grassier. You want to get out of here.
Oh, but 15 builds, man. That is a tough spot for Cooper to be in, especially with everyone else rotating. This side of the zone is just so condensed, and everyone's just trying to get to the edge of the next one. It's not going to be an easy feat, and Cooper, in fact, eliminated
Mixon
just
eliminated
seconds ago.
Clicks as well. This is looking dicey now. Kanata by himself. Update from Mixon's perspective. Oh no! Oh my gosh, the hook, line, and sinker onto Clicks.
That's an insane clip.
We've never seen that before. Wow.
I don't even know what I would say. How do
That's
you even
crazy.
react
That's
to
actually
that, man?
crazy.
Clicks is probably just absolutely baffled by what took place just now.
Yeah, I'm sure he can't believe it either. Epic Will has to do something big right now. I mean, the win, I feel like it's impossible, but you gotta fight for it. You never really know. Hades Chain is out. This is bad for Reet. This is bad for Ritual. Remember, the damage does pierce straight through. That's a one tag. Oh, full shield crack. It could have been really, really bad here for Reet and Ritual, who's at 7 eliminations. Now, they will be inside the top 25. That's undoubtedly. However, there's a win that could be potentially set up for them right now. They have some of the most material health and just overall situational advantage that the lobby has to offer. Miro is also alive still right now as well. Miro and Dukes are trying to fight at least for top 25, and Miro finds Mixon with the elimination. So I think Miro could possibly have done enough too to at least see day number 3 right now, as they were off to one of the diciest starts. But here we have it. Reet and Ritual now have the high ground.
They are looking healthy on height as well, but waiting to see them apply a little bit more pressure to the teams underneath. I think Reet's really just trying to scope out, connect these high ground builds. All the way down underneath, though, Miro stuck in the dirt currently. Just lost Dukes in the process. He's made a decent go, and now it's definitely going to come down to placement points, but Miro wants every last point that he can secure. A nice gift of another med kit find. 2 med kits, actually.
It's great.
Might be able to turn this one around.
Yeah, no, this is a perfect situation for Miro right now. He's already earned himself 2 placement points from just playing the med kits. Now, it's not going to last long. The sickness kicks in. It looks like his health just gets obliterated right there. But a top 8 nonetheless is very, very well. Blake just now falls too, so another great overall position in place here for Blake and Macwood. But now it's up to Chimp and Scissors, who only have 104 points. They are very much on the bubble for a top 25. This is everything. It's all or nothing right now. And oh, look at this. Macwood's still alive here. Falls inside the top 3. Chimp and Scissors earn a lot of points off those eliminations right there. But Reet and Ritual just have the advantage right now. But Chimp and Scissors still have some mats. So this is going to go a little bit more of the distance before we can call it here.
Reet is running incredibly low, though. About to get chopped out if he's not careful. He has that Flowberry Fizz, primed it at the ready.
They come up.
In case they have to fall. Chimp and Scissor, they're going to make the attempt. They want this win. Reet's going to be the first to drop down. Chimp, huge chunk out of his shield. The break is good to go. Scissor, Ritual, both are knocked. Reet trying to do what he can to finalize this to his advantage. But the chug splashes, they're giving Chimp a little bit of time here, but Reet just needs one more shot.
Chimp is smart with the edits, but Reet finds it in the end, and it was so dangerously close. What a back and forth there in the end to close out game number 5. And guess who is going straight to the finals? That's right, it's the King Reet and SG Ritual. You expect to see him there, but it's nice to see them wrap it up with a bow and get a win.
They were guaranteed another day of uppers if they didn't close this one out, but with the Victory Royale in hand, they're going to be a lot more ecstatic at the fact that it's just straight to grands, like you already said, MDF.
Yeah, look at this one more time. Ritual jumps out, gets the most crucial trade, and you know, you got to give a lot of respect to Chimp, who didn't even have shields when this engagement started, swings his way around, and then the ramp edit right there. Anything could have truly happened in the end right there when you're that quick in those final moments. But game 5 goes to Ritual and Reet. Congratulations to you young fellows right there, who will of course go straight to finals. So, I mean, Taco, all in all, what a game 5 we just had.
Yeah, that was a pretty explosive finish, and for Chimp and Scissor, they've got to be patting themselves on the back for that. But what I want to see, MDF, is how this leaderboard has actually ended up on the day. So Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly, take it away.
Thank you so much, Monster D-Face and the best Taco. Great cast on the day. And my, oh my, Kelly, look at the big smile. Reet and Ritual, they get themselves that spot going straight to grand finals. Super well deserved from the duo. And again, just in those moments, what a tough zone, right? Against the kind of old man mountain there with no builds. They're both trying to slip in and out of builds. And these guys walk away with the win.
I never had any doubt into anyone saying, well, Kelly, you haven't been talking about them. You haven't. No, listen, I talked too much about them in Major 1, and maybe that was a little bit of a curse right there. So I decided to pull back a little bit, allow Reet and Ritual to play their game, and that's exactly what they did. They've always been about adjustments, and we saw a few games ago, they adjusted their drop spot from Reckless Railways over to Grim Gate, and that, although they weren't able to get the coin out of that, they still were able to utilize the advantages that they need most, and that is when they take height and just dominate everyone else. I feel like they are the duo to have the most amount of eliminations when they are holding height, and just this moment right here with Ritual dropping down, able to get the angle onto Psy Razor there. And then of course, if it's Reet, you do not want to 1v1 him. I am so excited for this duo to make their way into the grand finals.
Last game of the day, right? I mentioned it earlier on in one of their other good games. I was like, yeah, listen, I mean, Reet and Ritual, a lot more confidence in Major 1 coming from this duo, right? A lot better performances, but no surprise that we'll be seeing them in grand finals. And I personally would not be surprised if we see them just take it up a small notch when it comes to, you know, those games where the money is on the line, those qual spots for global championship.
Oh yeah, these guys have eyes on those spots, right? They want to take it to globals. If now, you know, taking it to Major 3, you don't want to wait that long. You want to just secure spots at global championship. Just say, hey, look, later in the year, we'll be there. We'll see y'all. But of course, once again, massive congratulations to the duo. In case you're just tuning in, you missed it, we have a list here of 5 games we had today. Players who got themselves the Victory Royale auto-qualified to next week's grand finals. They are good to go. Game 1 over to Aaron and Chance. They had their chance. Game 2, Tankasito and 1 Mil at 20 years old. Game 3 went over to Muzz and Paper. 4 to Zyrobot and Link. And finally, you just saw Reet and Ritual got themselves game number 5. Friends, what a crazy day it has been.
Yeah, I mean, Fencing Fields kind of dominating throughout the first 2 rounds of the upper bracket of the semifinals. I think it's 3 wins from that POI alone, so great to see that as well. And then I feel like the conversation of today, lower bracket teams, Kelly. I mean, I don't know where these teams are kind of coming from, but awesome stuff to see some of them qualify.
Yeah, 3 out of the 5 duos moving forward from the lower bracket. And not just the lower bracket coming out on top, but also the low ground. Yesterday, we saw all 5 wins coming from the high ground. And now we're starting to see a little bit more variety. This is typically what I would expect out of a grand finals lobby. So excited to see some changes already coming in. But Zeke, tomorrow is the last day, and it's a pretty big one because we have 40 duos making their way into the grand finals tomorrow.
That's right, and we have a look here at who is staying in the upper bracket. Duos that stayed in that top 25, they will return for tomorrow's upper bracket. The rest will fall to lowers. Let's take a look together. So just ignore 1 through 5th. They're good. They're going to grand finals. Clicks and Epic Whale sitting very comfortable in that number 1 spot. I cannot imagine it that they come in tomorrow and they don't claim one of those spots.
Oh yeah, 100%. Of course, another team been very, very consistent. Canada and Cooper over the course of the 10 games from both upper bracket sessions between yesterday and today. They got top 5 like 7 times. So very, very consistent there. Ooh, and I see Dukes and Miro and Paco and Vixen finding themselves in the top 25. Big question mark going into that last game if they were going to be able to pull it off, because they were very, very close to not being in the top 25 going into this one.
Yeah, look how many placements they went up. They went 9 placements from 17th place, which means that they were in 26th place. And speaking of 26, no, it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid, but they still have a chance and opportunity tomorrow, so they're still not out. But Aviv and Chubbs making 24th place right there. Of course, Cyrazor and Chimp, the duo, to get 2nd place in the final game definitely is what they needed, because they jumped up 16 placements to stay in the upper bracket.
Yep, 100%.
Sometimes that's all you need, Viv.
You know, yeah, definitely. And as you can see here, like we mentioned, 6th through 25th on this leaderboard will be going into the upper bracket tomorrow. They will be joined by 1st through 30th of those participating in the lower bracket right now. We have 50 players kind of there. And then the rest of the upper bracket leaderboard, like we were just seeing right there, the bottom half of that leaderboard will be going to the lower bracket. 25 slots tomorrow, Zeke, in the upper bracket available, and then 15 in the lower bracket. Consistency is going to matter.
Brother, you've got me stressed. I thought I was fine. I was like, okay, stress is fine. No, it's true, though. He makes a great point. Tomorrow is the final day to make grand finals in major number 2. Just think there's going to be duos that their run will end tomorrow. And then if they want a spot going to the global championship later this year, they're going to have to run it back in major number 3 and tweak every little thing they can to try and secure themselves one of those spots. After these 5 games, how did you guys feel? Kelly, did you really feel like this was a grand finals lobby? Like, as a viewer, is this kind of what we can expect from grand finals? Do you think tomorrow will be more of the same?
Well, we can't ignore the fact that 5 of the best teams that made it through yesterday are already qualified, so they're not competing right now. But if you look at a lot of the duos, they are the biggest names that North American Fortnite has to offer. And we definitely saw a lot of changes from yesterday, where these players were kind of going for more of the Victory Royale format. And I feel like we saw a lot more placement-heavy focus today, which is what you typically see out of a grand finals lobby.
Yeah, true. I think you nailed it right there. Right play style wise, some of the teams definitely playing as if it was a grand finals lobby, but the elephant in the room being, of course, it's not. Right? There's so many other teams that we're missing right now that will be in the grand finals. And listen, you know, we ran some stats already throughout this FNCS of just how much impact some of those teams have. So it really does mean a lot that they are in this lobby, of course. But gosh, I cannot wait until our grand finals is set.
I know. Next weekend, mark your calendars. You don't want to miss out. But of course, one more day. Tomorrow is the final chance. We will get opportunities for all duos in upper and lower bracket. And then we'll know which 50 duos will go head to head for their shot at the Axe of Champions, and possibly more importantly, spots to the global championships. Don't forget, EU is right before us tomorrow. So if you're enjoying Fortnite, you want to watch more Fortnite, we got a whole other region going on tomorrow. Then come back, watch us, hang out with us, talk Fortnite, the highs, the lows, the clicks is flying through the airs and getting chained. It's been a crazy Fortnite day. As always, Fortnite fam, thank you so much for hanging out with us and doing this. We love doing this with you. You guys make this possible. So until tomorrow, we love you. Keep yourself safe, and we'll see you on that battle.